topic today is a little bit spicy. I'll come out and say that up front. If you can, you probably already saw the title of this video, and whether you're anticipating this to go against your bias or for it, I just want you to know, either or, this video is going to go over some rather controversial stuff. I mean, if you really want to know, stop living in your fantasy world that white guys are somehow perfect. I'm just so sick and tired of it. Because I was approached by a black woman recently through social media. She said she liked me. I was like, okay. You know, I took her out for a date. And the whole thing, the whole date, was just her basically fawning over me. Not because of who I am, because I'm actually a shit person. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a person, you know. I really don't think I'm a great individual. I messed up a lot in my life, and I regret it. And, you know, though I'm trying to improve, I'm in no way worthy of this kind of flattery. I'm not deserving of anything like it. And the whole thing was because I was white. So, you know, to say I was offended, yeah, I think I was. Because that's the only thing that mattered, was the fact that I'm white. And you can guarantee she learned it from a video like from Kristen Carrison, which I've said before. I respect the woman. She's not encouraging people to get into fights on Facebook or whatever. She's not encouraging people to go to someone else's house and harm them. We are not the best dating option. Dead serious. You know, there's other people out there. And I know for a fact, black women, there are black men who are, as just in character, are better than I am. They're nicer than I am. They have a superior disposition when in public. Much more patient than I am. Usually I have a short fuse when dealing with the public. I do. So, really, I mean, I want you to understand, we aren't the best. We have our problems. Hollywood describes us as like perfect angels, and we're not. That's fantasy. You know, I want black women to have a lot more self-respect than they do now. Kind of just like worshiping white guys. Again, we aren't deserving of any kind of flattery. We're no better than black men or Hispanic men or Asian men. A lot of us have personal issues, gripes we still have yet to deal with.
Warrants for Jason Pope. Most allege that incidents usually happen at his home here on Lakeview Drive. The documents show he had sex with and is even accused of kidnapping young girls.
I suspected a long time ago things were not right over there because of who we had coming in and out.
The neighbor didn't want to go on camera, but says Pope lived next door to him for several years. He says he's seen numerous young girls stop by.
They looked like they were very young, underage maybe. And they stayed over some, and then they would disappear.
Documents obtained by WMBF News show in July, Pope held young girls against their will in a room of his home to perform sex acts. One of the victims, listed as "17 years old," said Pope gave her, quote, money and other things for sex. Other reports detail incidents from September to December of 2017 where Pope extorted young girls for sex. The neighbor says he saw several officers raiding Pope's home.
He was a very secure person to himself, and we're not out going around in the neighborhood. Not at all.
The oldest report dates back to 2011 and shows Pope gave two victims, one listed as young as 13 years old, marijuana and money to have sex with him. The report shows the victim told the officer a condom wasn't used and was concerned Pope had a sexually transmitted disease. What's your reaction now that you find out everything he's arrested for?
For his daddy and mother, it's a bad situation all the way around. I feel for him, but nothing we can do.
The investigation into Pope is ongoing. If you have any information on these incidents or others, contact your local or state law enforcement department. Live in Florence, Neil Watson, WMBF.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is a public service announcement from your boy King Sigma, coming to you live from the Great White North. We got our first slow snow today. It's light, but it's already snowing up here. Got me a cup of black tea, and I'm ready to definitely dig into the topic. But before I dig into the topic, I just wanted to share a little bit of news. It relates to the political situation, and it also relates to the specifics of the state of Minnesota and the Great White North. As many of you already know, Donald Trump, President of the United States, visited the state of Minnesota this week on Thursday, and he had a rally at the Target Center. The Target Center is the home of the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he broke all records for attendance with, they're saying in the news that he had between 21,000 to 22,000 people show up, and the capacity for the Target Center is only around 19,400. So they had outside areas where they could listen to the rally. And one of the main reasons why that is so important to people in this space is because in this election year that we have coming up, Minnesota is one of the three states that Donald Trump targeted, because in 2016, many don't know, but Trump came very close to flipping the state of Minnesota from a traditionally blue state, which over the last 2 decades has slowly become a purple state, just like Wisconsin, which had traditionally been a blue state, but had been purple and got flipped to red in 2016. So he ended up losing the state of Minnesota to Hillary Clinton only by 1.5%. I mean, that's a very close margin. And based on the results of his rally and listening to some different news reports, the police department are very much behind him. So I would not be surprised at all if Donald Trump wins the entire Midwest outside of Illinois in 2016. So, and I don't believe a Republican president has run the state of Minnesota since the 80s. Maybe, no, I think even 1972. I think it's actually Richard Nixon might have been the last Republican to win the state of Minnesota. And that would have been in 1972. So keep an eye on that. I think that free thinking brothers really, really, truly need to keep a pulse on this whole electoral process this year. We are definitely the swing voter, but more importantly, we're kind of like invisible. But we're going to become very visible as this year goes on, and more black men come to these spaces and put their narratives out there to let the mainstream media know that, hey, you guys are selling one message, and you're selling one idea of blackness, and you're leaving out the whole entire other half. They're quick to talk about American black women and their concerns, their needs, and pander to them and shower them with praise, but not a word for black men for the most part. So there's definitely an opportunity for any politician out there, whatever their party is, to go after that black male swing voter. So I was inspired to do this live cast after listening to Mike V and the Black Brain Trust replay of a conversation that they had over on the Black Brain Trust channel called Joker and the Swirling of Black Women with White Incels. Again, you guys can go watch that upload. I believe they posted last night. It's called Joker and the Swirling of Black Women with White Incels. Now, I never go to watch movies like The Joker until after 2 or 3 weeks that it's been in theaters. I don't like to go to watch a movie like that unless I'm usually by myself, because it's such a thought-provoking movie that I want to wait until the probably like the first week of November. I'll go see it where I can actually just sit down and digest and analyze all the different layers to the movie. And after hearing the Black Brain Trust conversation about it, it's not really, they didn't really give out any spoilers. They were giving mostly like commentary from a black male's perspective on what they've seen. So I definitely recommend that you go watch it. If you plan on going to see the Joker this weekend, then just hold off, go see the Joker, and then listen to it. But if you've already seen the Joker, it's definitely something worth listening to. So, people really underestimate the nature of Twitter and some of these social media outlets to get news that we will never get in the mainstream. I don't even like using the term news anymore with the mainstream. And in fact, even many journalists, classically trained journalists, are leaving a lot of news organizations. Fox News just had one of their top journalists, editor, entertainers leave them. I believe his name is Shepard, and he left Fox News because what they're realizing is that at this point, the real journalism is at the citizen journalist grassroots levels now. And a lot of these people, yeah, they're getting big money. I believe that guy at Fox News, the Shepard guy, he was getting about 15 million a year. And he said, you know what, I can't do this no more, man. I just can't do it. And I think that that's relevant because that's what we're seeing in America. The grassroots and the organic is where you get the truth that on politics, on sex, relationships, economics. You're getting it at the ground level now. And people are able to compete with these major outlets. So you have a lot of these talking heads on TV. Yeah, they're getting big money, but something inside of them is telling them like, I can't do this, man. This is wrong. Because they might as well just hire actors. Pretty much at this point, networks like MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News, they don't even need to hire journalists anymore. They might as well just hire Hollywood actors and actresses and models, because really all they're selling is entertainment at this point. They don't give any in-depth analysis of specific areas of the human activity. They don't give multi-dimensional conversations anymore. Everything is prepared just like a movie script now. So that whole thing with Shepard, you can go look it up for yourself. Just Google Shepard leaves Fox News. And I think the guy was getting like 15 million. But he's like, anyone that's ever had a high paying job before that you didn't actually like the culture. And if you've ever had a high paying job and you had like bad managers or the culture was corrupt or it was, there was something wrong with the culture of the place. I've myself given up jobs like that when I worked in corporate America and took a government job over a corporate job because the culture was better. So never think that just because you're getting paid a certain amount, that's going to override the culture. There's some people that go to work every day and they hate their jobs. It's a struggle for them. So I'm not all that surprised that someone like a Shepard would leave a job like that and leave 15 million behind. Now we know that he'll obviously get picked up somewhere else, but just saying, a lot of people, they really are looking for more work-life balance and satisfaction for what they put their energy into. And I'm not just talking about work. I'm talking about in your private life, in your family life. People are looking for satisfaction and value outside of just a dollar. And that segues into this whole issue with the white man that was highlighted in South Carolina. So his name is Jason Roger Pope. And Jason Roger Pope is 42 years old. And he was charged with 9 felonies down there in Florence, South Carolina. Now, reading about Florence, Carolina was interesting because in Florence, Carolina, the city of Florence, South Carolina only has a population of 38,000, right? So I'm looking at the situation and I'm like, okay, now these investigators are saying that this man that was arrested, Jason Roger Pope, another BottomShelf Brad from the Mini, that he may have infected a minimum, now again, a minimum of 600 Black women, but mostly Black girls. Reading through his case, like 90% of the women that actually volunteered, this wasn't a situation where he was going out and kidnapping women. These were women that he enticed to become sexually involved with him because he was offering the bag, and not just the money bag, but he was offering that weed bag. So according to investigators, his preferred way of luring these Black women, the lowest age range they mentioned during his most active time period. So it looks like his most active time period was between 2011 and when he was arrested on August 29th of this year. So as the lowest age they show was 13-year-olds, and most of these are all Black women, right? So he targeted as low as 13, but it seemed to be that his preferred targets were Black women between the ages of 14 and 16. So that would put them at like 8th graders to juniors in high school. And the reason why I called this live cast Surviving BottomShelf Brad, because from now on, when I do these kind of stories, I'm just going to go, BottomShelf Brad #1. So this is the first entry into this series, because I just can't stand by and let these white male worshipers continue to, you know, harm black men in the physical world. But sometimes I fight with, are they damaging us more physically or mentally or socially? But I know that they're doing all three. So they're going out there and they're working with these same people that they will come back and tell us that are our enemies, but they're sleeping. I mean, let me just say that again. Okay. This white dude in Florence, South Carolina, a city of only 38,000 residents, half black just about and half white, okay? 46% of that city population are black people, and the other half is white. One white dude in this small city may have infected at least 600 black women. That's just the minimum. They don't know how many he infected. They got a PSA going out. That's why I have the banner up there. If you are a sexually active black male resident of Florence or any neighboring city, and you're between the ages of 18 to 40, you need to go get an HIV test immediately. This dude primary target was actually young teenage girls. He was a pedophile, right? So if you have been sexually active with black women in this area, it's a damn good chance based on the 6 degrees of separation, which usually is just a low number. But the CDC has this little chart that they use to determine how many people could possibly be infected by one person. Now, I haven't had a chance to look at the CDC's chart, which would probably be somewhere in the area like 20,000. But at a minimum, based on my calculation, at least 3,600 people in that area could be at threat of having got HIV from this one dude through these black women. Now, now that may not really hit you as heavy. Do you realize that 3,600 possibly infected people would mean that that's almost 10% of that city's population? This one man and his 600 minimum amount of girls could mean that possibly 3,600 residents of that city are infected, which is almost 10% of their population, right? And this city is located at I-95 and I-20 down there in South Carolina. So you know how those intersection cities are. They have a lot of people coming in, a lot of people going out. And so this Bottom Shelf Brad was a so-called DJ. So he's just some kind of low-level DJ in some small city, but he was able to knock. He had a net of black girls and black women that many so-called select black men don't have. And that's one of the reasons why I've been saying on these channels and on panels that I go on, you know, you black men are out there fighting with each other over who's select, who's non-select, I'm alpha, I'm beta. I have a new question, and I want to pose this to the audience right now, because I'm all about figuring out what do we have in common. My question is, Bottom Shelf Brad more select than the so-called select black male? Press 1 for yes and press 2 for no. Because this is a conversation I think needs to grow. And I think that's a lot of what the Black Brain Trust was getting at, because I had already been talking over here for a while. So I feel vindicated now. I have been telling people in this space, look it, Hollywood has figured out how to manipulate the American black woman a long time ago. But this new agenda of theirs, the swirling agenda that they're pushing, is all about putting a white bottom shelf Brad with all black women. Now, people are wondering, what do you mean by bottom shelf Brad? In this space, when we're talking about the bottom shelf Brad, we're referring to the white males that are in the bottom 1/4 of the white dating sexual marketplace, right? The white mating sexual marketplace, and how that relates to their ability to overshoot within all the other races marketplace, but especially in the black female marketplace. These bottom shelf Brad dudes, you know, they can do really, really good. That's why I added that clip of the white guy in the beginning. Here you have an Elmer Fudd looking white dude, sloppy looking white dude. If you painted him in blackface, we already know all the names that black folks in general would call him, and especially the American black women. Their favorite comment is, he lame. He lame. He not 6 feet. He don't got a 6-pack. He not making 6 figures. That white boy was in a closet. He had a a studio or efficiency apartment, but the man came into these spaces, came onto the, just think about it. As thirsty as so many black men are out here, chasing after these low-tier American black women that are in this dating market, you got a white boy, in his own words, with his face out there, in his apartment. He said, enough is enough with this white male worship stuff, man. He said, enough is enough. I'm tired of you American black women, white male worshipers hit me in my DMs. I'm tired of you begging me to go out on dates with you. I'm tired of you looking at me as a non-human entity. This man is getting so much black sex thrown at him that he don't even know what to do with it. While you got black men out here competing 20 men to one non-diseased woman, because looking up the statistics for HIV and comparing them to what the bottom shelf Brad Jason Pope was passing around right now, when you look at the HIV rates for America by race, it says that 60% of known cases of HIV are American black women, 20% are white women, 16% are Latina, and 4% are divided amongst other women. Look at the disparity. 60% for American black women of known. These are the ones that they know already. 20% white, 16% Latina, and 4% other. So you can make your own determination of how you feel about that. And we won't even go into the herpes thing, because half of all sexually active black women in America have herpes. So this is what you're dealing with. But yet, all this time, you're always hearing about how black men, we're such a problem. Black men, we ain't shit. We don't do this. We don't do that. We're preying on black women. We're doing this. All the while knowing that the highest rate of domestic violence against black women is actually lesbian women. Now we're seeing that one of the biggest quiet spreaders of HIV are these white bottom shelf Brads that they're sleeping with low key, while you're sitting out here waving the RBG flag, while you're sitting out here talking about say the community, and while you calling these women black queens, they are very far and few between that even deserve any title of queen. Very few. I can tell you that right now. And this isn't to the American black women that are not in this grouping. They know who it are. The American black women out there that practice safe sex, that are practicing family planning, and that understand how to use birth control properly, they know they're not included in these grouping. But unfortunately, the majority of American black women fit into that. Again, I'll say it again. 60% of all known HIV cases are American black women. Even though, now, this is where it gets ugly. American black women are only 5.5 to 6% of the U.S. population. Yet there's 60% of known HIV cases, man. That's where it really hits home for you. And many of these women are limited to a certain small areas of their cities. It would be really scary if these women had greater access to the larger dating and mating market. And you can only imagine what the numbers would be. But I think that this provides the kind of evidence that shows that while you black men are out there arguing about who select and non-select, you're overlooking the pink elephant in the room. And that's that bottom shelf Brad. Because as we approach 2020, none of you are select as far as I'm concerned, unless you're like Robert Smith or a Byron Allen. You're not select no more. We all non-select as far as these black women are concerned when it comes to their white male worship. Every time we get one of these stories about a bottom shelf Brad, it's always almost all from the lower quarter. And that's why I like that the Black Brain Trust made that analogy between the Joker's character, Arthur Fleck, before he became the Joker, and this relationship with, they use the term incel, but I just say the bottom quarter of the white male dating market. But they used Arthur Fleck, Joker, as an avatar for what they see. It is a phenomenon to behold, because, you know, a black man that is anything like that character in that movie, I seen the trailer, so I know exactly what Joaquin Phoenix looks like. He lost a lot of weight purposely for that role, and he's a naturally slim guy, but he got like anorexic for that role. I think they said he was like 130 pounds. So to play that role at 5'9" or 5'8" at 130 pounds, and he's kind of like, you know, Rumpelstiltskin body type with the humpback, all jacked up. But somehow, even that character can pull the more attractive American black woman. And remember, it's not just about making a vague statement about attractiveness or non-attractiveness. Attractiveness relates to the actual supply, right? So let's say you have 100 men and you have 1,000 women, and you have 1,000 women that are 5 or below. Now, what happens when you introduce 10, 7s, 8s, and 9s into that? The demand is so heavy, and that's what you have. So that's what makes it stand out to me, that the few very gorgeous, very attractive, very fit, non-diseased American black women, those are the main ones that an incel type of character can get. And that's what sticks out in my mind, is that these dudes that are in the bottom quarter of their own dating market, they actually are in the top quarter of the American black dating market. And that's what I think needs to be added to this whole select, non-select conversation. How, you know, this may have not been relevant 10 years ago to this extent, but as more and more black men start to investigate into this white male worship agenda on the part of certain segments of American black women, I think it's going to become more and more clear to black men that while y'all think that y'all are competing with each other, there's another player in here. There's a lot of these sexually frustrated white men out there who white women have no interest in, Asian women have no interest in, because they're trying to get out of the bottom quarter. They're trying to be in that the middle, you know what I'm saying, or at the top, what they refer to as the white zaddy. So white zaddy is the guy who is called Chad. You know what I'm saying? So black men say that, well, that's the white zaddy that they're worshiping, but they call him Chad, right? Most of them can't get that dude because the Asian women are competing for him. That's a competition between the white women and the Asian and then the Latinas, and the American black woman. She's strictly used as ghetto gagging. That's another thing that stood out about the Jason Pope situation. Did you notice? Almost all his victims were white women. Now, the investigators said that they think that he caught HIV when he was around 29, which would have been around 2011 or so. So he caught AIDS somewhere around when he was in his late 20s or his early 30s. They're still investigating how many victims, and they have PSAs out there in South Carolina. And again, I will say to anyone that's anywhere near that city, and you may have been sexually active in any black woman from Florence, go get tested for HIV immediately. But he was very targeted in who he targeted. He targeted teenage women and he targeted black women. So it's funny, while all these white male worshipers are out there pedestalizing their white God, he's out there picking them to give AIDS to. He knew better than to give AIDS to white women. Because remember, in a lot of states, even just giving a disease is a crime in itself. If you knowingly give a sexually transmitted disease, in most states, that can be a felony. Just that on its own. This dude has 9 charges on him, along with obviously giving HIV to all these women. But I didn't hear them mention any white women involved in this. Every picture I saw that dude, Jason Pope, he was one of these like slumming, wigger type white guys that hangs out with the low level black pookie type of guys. And that's a DJ and that's a white rapper. You know, that dude that's using the word nigga to black Americans and they're actually responding to him without breaking his jaw. That type of white boy. So he fit right in with that whole demographic, right? Oh, he cool. That's a cool white boy right now. The Tekashi 6ix9ine kind of dudes that soon as something goes down, he's snitching on everybody. And at the whole time, he was giving HIV to everybody, man. And they're the ones that accepted him into their group. His so-called name was DJ Kid. So again, if you're down there in that Florence, South Carolina area, and you are a sexually active man between 18 and 40, and you're having sex with black women down there in that age range, you better go get checked up, because soon the CDC is going to be quarantining because they don't know how many people. They say 600 plus. So it could be, we don't know. It could be 5,000 in a small town infected with HIV from this one source. So he is ground zero for HIV. And what stood out as well, like I was looking to see before I went live if I could find anyone talking about this Jason Roger Pope guy, but I hadn't seen anything. So hopefully I just overlooked it. But I really want to hear what the white male worshiping contingent of female sirens has to say about the fact that this white boy that they worship done spread AIDS to possibly 3,000 to 5,000. We don't even know, man. And where is the video Where is the commentary? Where are the articles? Because last time I checked, it wasn't too long ago that they were saying that that black men were the terrorists of the so-called black community. And the more that we in this black male YouTube begin to investigate, provide receipts, and dig into this topic, we learn that the true black terrorist is the American black woman misandress and white male worshiper. I'll say it again. The actual terrorist of the black community is the black misandress, the black white male worshiper, and the black thought. That is the gang of terrorists that are working to destroy the black community. If you want to add in some black dudes, you can definitely add in the black redneck that's represented by 20% or less of the black male population. But for the most part, the 80% of black men are mostly stand-up guys, regular dudes, trying to do the best they can. So that's your terrorist of the black community right there. But they don't call Jason Pope a terrorist of the black community. That's Zaddy. That's BottomShelf Brad. He's protected. And in some of those pictures that I showed you all regarding, the kind of women that he was dating in that thumbnail, that was only a couple pictures. I could have showed you even more, but I felt that after my last live cast and the receipts that I showed coming from thousands of American black women's mouths themselves, I didn't really need to, show too many pictures. But this white dude was in there, and especially with the dark-skinned American black women. That's what stood out to me. Of all the pictures that I saw the pedophile Jason Pope with, almost all of the women were very, very dark-skinned American black women. Anything he wanted to do in the pictures, grabbing their ass, mouth on their titties. These BottomShelf Brads have an exemption. I guess they have diplomatic immunity, man. That's what I'm going to start calling BottomShelf Brad. BottomShelf Brad is so select, so alpha in the eyes of the white male worshiper that he has diplomatic immunity, no matter what the crime that he commits happens to be. So let me give you a little bit more details of what actually transpired with this case of BottomShelf Brad, Jason Pope, from the mouths of the investigators. So let's see what they have to say about it. So, Florence, South Carolina. A well-known Florence man charged with human trafficking earlier this year may have had possible victims further back than deputies are currently investigating, according to records handed over to ABC 15. Jason Roger Pope, 42, popularly known as DJ Kid, was charged with 3 counts of trafficking in persons, 3 counts of first-degree criminal sexual conduct, second-degree criminal sexual conduct with a minor, promoting prostitution of a minor, and kidnapping back on August 29. Warrants say Pope recruited women and underage girls and had sex with them on various occasions between September 2017 and July 2019, providing the victims with money and gifts in exchange. They also say he held some victims against their will in Darlington and Florence in order to have them perform sex acts. The warrants say Pope knew some of the victims were under the age of 18, although they did not say if any of the women held against their wills were underage. So we see here, some were there voluntarily, some were persuaded with weed and cash. The additional accusations are included in incident and supplemental reports obtained by ABC 15. ABC 15 asked for all of the incidents involving Pope about which police wrote reports, no matter how he was involved. The Florence County Sheriff's Office provided 14 incidents ranging from December 2011 to April 2019. 5 of the 9 reports where Pope was listed as the subject were sex-related. Only 1, filed on Christmas Eve in 2011, involved an adult woman in them. He was accused of sending her pornographic texts. The first of the 4 involving underage girls happened shortly before that on December 4th, 2011. The report says 2 girls aged 13 and 16 walked into a hospital and told doctors they had unprotected sex with the then 34-year-old. The girls told police Pope had given them marijuana and money in exchange for the sex. Now, let me stop there for a second. So this is what we mean when we talk about that whole get the bag culture. This is the dark side of the get the bag culture. For a bag of weed, for $75 or something like that, these women lose all sense of virtue, morality, and integrity. and is promoted heavily by Hollywood. So, you know, these women that were prostituting themselves to BottomShelf Brad, they said that, you know, she told officers Pope had been paying her for sex and blackmailing her into performing additional sex acts. Wow. I didn't know that a white guy did blackmail and bribery. That's interesting. And she says at the time, she told deputies she had cut off contact with Pope for 2 weeks, during which he had been spreading information about her on social media. She also told police Pope repeatedly paid 15 and 16-year-old girls for sex and filmed the encounters. She went on to say he recruited girls by handing flyers out promoting his DJ work and then bribed them. Very interesting. Okay, I'm going to just scroll down. Yeah, so that is that regarding Jason Pope. And, you know, there's a lot of reports out there. So eventually they found out that it was in the hundreds, over 600 women that he had seduced with the marijuana bag and a few ducats. Because, you know, most of these women, they're not even getting 100 for the sex act. So we can go through the actual Florence County Detention Center inmate details report and get a better idea of, you know, all the specific charges. So you guys can have the receipts. I think that's very important that, you know, on these, that we start using these mediums to just put out the information and let people know what's going on. Because the days of black men being shitted on and being put to the back of society and us not saying anything about it, those mute stoic days are long gone. So if you happen to miss those days, you're definitely in the wrong place, because going forward, this is how it's going to be. Every time they keep hating on us, every time they do some traitorous against us in the media, we're going to bring out a counterpoint every single time. And I'm talking about this is going to be how it's going to be for forever now. So if I was a black misandrist, I would stop it. I think that it's time for y'all to just stop it. Just come out, tell American black men that they're not selecting your eyes. Tell them that you want to be the whore of these white men and that black men need to look elsewhere. And we can actually move away from all this beef. But until then, this stuff is going to get pounded because the media is not going to show you the true dark side of this stuff. They'll mention it one time and it'll never be said again in the media. So let's look at the charges. So his first charge is criminal sexual conduct, first degree. And this is straight from the police, the county detention center and sheriff's office. The second one, kidnapping. Third is trafficking in persons, recruiting, enticing, soliciting, harboring, transporting, or attempts, first offense. Trafficking in persons, sex and criminal sexual conduct, first degree. Trafficking in persons, criminal sexual conduct with a minor, second degree statutory. Sex and promoting the prostitution of a minor, sex and criminal sexual conduct, first degree. So there it is for all of you to look it up. So he's down there in Florence, South Carolina. So that's BottomShelf Brad, Jason Roger, HIV Pope. So, you know, it's interesting to see all those charges, especially in light of the Amber Geiger trial, because we saw how she got 10 years for murder, basically a slap on the wrist. And it'll be interesting to follow this case. And I will make sure to keep this case in my notes. And a year from now, because it depends on how long their court case is taking. A small town like that, it probably won't take as long. But I'm going to keep up with this case for you all. And in the future, I will report on the outcome and if he's found guilty of these charges. Because at this point, you know, this is the United States. These are all just allegations. And until he's proven guilty, and considering all the information that the investigators say, well, he didn't have any bond. He'll probably plead because, like I said, this is, you know, he got so much evidence against him: sex tapes, video footage, Snapchat, text messages. He got HIV. I mean, he'll probably just go ahead and plea, probably take like 15 years or whatever, but it'll be interesting to see how much time he gets for all these crimes. And what'll be really interesting, knowing the nature of these judges, maybe it's another judge like the one in the Amber Geiger trial. Maybe it'll be a black woman that hands him a Bible and says that she forgives him for infecting all these black women. So we shall see on that one. But I wanted to kind of connect this to something else I've been following, because I've been following quite a few of these cases. Because, see, I advise you American black men please start keeping track of these cases. Don't just let these cases go off into the ether the way that the mainstream news wants it, and not actually start keeping a database. A very good person to go check out is Brian Solange, and then another one that does a good job of tracking these kind of cases is Kid Organic. So if you want to get some information on some of these other Bottom Shelf Brad cases that have happened over the last, let's say just the last 3 years, go check out some of their videos, because initially I wasn't keeping track of this stuff, right? I would just see it in the news, shake my head, and keep it moving. But now I'm like, no, I got to start keeping track of this for myself, so that when these women come out talking about this Dear Black Men videos, and when they come out talking about they're the least protected, I'm like, no, let me show you some receipts. This is who you should be going to protect you. Bottom Shelf Brad and White Zaddy. Call him up, because I can't offer protection to the the enemy and spy that's sleeping with the so-called enemy. So that's where I'm at on this. But one of the cases that stood out to me, because of how deep it cuts, was this case called it was a case down in Jackson, Mississippi. And this is a case of another white male worshiper by the name of Dominique Layton. And her situation is so interesting because of the relationship that she had with her White Zaddy, right? And connecting this back to the Jason Pope, because what I noticed is that she was involved in a relationship with a white cop. And that just really caught me off guard, because somehow these same white worshipers are telling us like all these different white people are our enemy. But when you actually dig deeper, you come to find out that they're sleeping with all the so-called enemies of Black society and Black men, right? And this one stood out because this woman was a big supporter of Blue Lives Matter. So connecting this, and I just had a brother on here. You know what was funny? On my last upload, I had a brother from the South on here. Shout yourself out if you're in the chat. He told me the American Black women down here are not white male worshipers. You know what's interesting? That Jason Pope, that was South Carolina. This situation, this is Jackson, Mississippi. These are two of the biggest strongholds of Black population in the country. So, bruh, you were wrong, because each case that I've read so far is a Southern case. And the two I'm going to present as examples, both Southern cases. So let's look at Dominique Layton. So, mom's slain body was discovered by son and cop who was possibly involved with her as charged. Well, now this was the early part of the case before they actually found him. I think he was found guilty already. But here's your sister. This is your Southern sister from Mississippi, Dominique Layton. And it says, a married Mississippi police officer is behind bars accused of fatally shooting a mother of 4 who was found dead from a gunshot wound by her 8-year-old son. The slain body of Dominique Layton, 32, of Oxford, Mississippi, was discovered Sunday. She had been shot in the head. So she was shot by this dude named Matthew Kinney. And he was a 38 years old at the time, police officer. And he was taken into custody and charged with murder. He shot her in the head. This is your Bottom Shelf Brad, Mr. Murderer Matthew Kinney. So this is him. He looked just like Jason Roger, the pedophile Pope. Interesting. This story is just sick. So you got a white male worshiper in a relationship with a white cop, and the white cop killed her. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up, man. And the brother was telling me that these sisters down here in the South, they don't worship white men, they worship Black men. But there's the evidence. Murdered a woman with 4 children. He was swirling it up with her. He was gaggle-gagging up with her. And then something went wrong. Now, we don't know exactly what went wrong. Even after the trial and everything, we still don't know exactly what happened. But the rumor is that maybe she might have been pregnant by the white dude, or either she was going to tell his girlfriend, wife, or family or something, because the motive is important in this case. So I got to get more information on the outcome, because, a lot of these cases, man, 12 to 2 years sometimes even go to trial, and you can't get the full story until after the trial. But I know that he pleaded guilty. So the biggest update on the Dominique Layton case is that the officer pleaded guilty just 2 weeks ago. So we're not going to have the outcome of this case either until sometime late next year, most likely. So it looks like they're saying that that he pleaded not guilty just on September 30th, 2019. Okay. So that was just about 2 weeks ago. So it says a former Oxford police officer pleaded not guilty Monday in the May murder of Dominique Layton, a woman with whom he was allegedly in a relationship. Matthew Kinney stood before a judge in Oxford for arraignment on a capital murder charge, which is punishable by the death penalty. Now, this one is going to be real interesting because Mississippi has the death penalty, and this was a premeditated murder. Again, just like with the Amber Geiger trial, we have a cop killing a black person in an intimate setting and in a residential setting versus being on duty. So he killed his black female lover in her apartment and left her for dead with a bullet through her fucking head, man. Her young child. And what was interesting, all her children were black children. They were all dark-skinned black children. So this looks like a situation of a woman that was a single mother, got knocked up by who knows how many black men prior. And then when she hit her 30s, she started watching shows like Scandal, listening to this white male worship rhetoric, and she decided it was time for her to try to climb Swirl Mountain. And as we've talked about, shout out to Babatunde, SlayingEvil.com. We've talked about it a lot in this space. Everyone talks about Swirl Mountain. Everyone sells the idea of climbing Swirl Mountain, but no one talks about all the skeletons and bodies that's buried at the base of Swirl Mountain. Swirl Mountain is a hell of a climb. You think Mount Everest is a climb or Mount Kilimanjaro? Swirl Mountain is a hell of a climb, man. So here's another woman in her pursuit of the white seed. And more than likely, she came to the white man and told her, we'll know more as the trial goes on. So he pleaded not guilty. So this trial will be on the docket for next year. And we're going to learn why he killed her, what his motive was for killing his black lover. Remember, they say that White Zaddy loved them some black chocolate, boy. They say that Black Girl Magic, it breaks down White Zaddy. Apparently not. So more than likely, I'm betting, and you guys can hold me to me, but I'm betting that we're going to find out during that trial that she had gotten that magical mixed seed that these white male worshipers love so much. And she came to him and told him, hey, you know, I'm pregnant. And he was like, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. My KKK friends are not going to accept me if they find out that I got you pregnant. And he put a bullet in her. Now, why do I bring that up? Because a lot of these dudes do their little swirling activities and ghetto gagging, but they do not want that to become known to the public that they're involved with these white male worshipers. And how do we know that's true? Well, we can move on from the Dominique Layton case and just simply go look at another recent case of a bottom shelf Brad. And we're going to be going in on this bottom shelf Brad thing because, see, what I'm doing, I'm building a case for what I call the bottom shelf Brad reparations plan for black women. And I'm going to build up to that as we approach this election year and go more into detail of what I mean. And some brothers know what I'm talking about, but a lot of brothers don't believe it. Like I said, the brother from the South, he came on here last stream and told me black women in the South ain't swirling. They don't worship white males. Kid you not, he said that every case we've seen so far is from the South, South Carolina, Mississippi. Now we're going to go to Virginia. And this will be the last example. And if anyone wants to come on for an hour and discuss what I've provided, I'm willing to stay on. Otherwise, I'm going to dip out. But let's go to the case of another recent case that's on the docket right now. And this one is, I mean, I don't know. I don't know which one is more disgusting between all these cases. I just don't know, man. I don't know. These bottom shelf Brad cases are something else, especially when you consider how small the percentage of black women are and how rare it is to see them have public relationships. Boy, they be doing a lot of assaulting and murdering, man. We saw the situation with Stacey Dash. You see what's going on with her. She looks like she's going to be the next Halle Berry in a divorce where the white dude is calling her nigger bitch and she's accepting it. These women are disgusting that deal with these bottom shelf Brads, man. I would hope that I just hope that no good brother comes across one of these women, man. I mean, real talk. These women are a cancer. They're toxic and they're dangerous, man. Very fucking dangerous to your health and to your mental health, to your physical and your mental health. So let's look at this last example before I open up the panel if someone wants to come on and discuss this, because I mean, it's nothing more I can say about this specific case of Jason Pope. It's out there. We'll see what happens. But here's the other case. And this one should hit home for anyone that has children. This one should really, really, really hit home for you. So this is another example of a bottom shelf Brad. Now, going back to the Black Brain Trust argument that there's an interesting relationship between the white male worshiper and these white incels type of guys, what we call bottom shelf Brad. This is a perfect example of that. I mean, I'm just gonna let y'all look at the picture for a minute. I'm just let y'all look at the picture for a minute. And I'm gonna drink my black tea, man. Just look at that man. If that ain't the bottom shelf Brad, real life Arthur Fleck, I don't know what is. Now let's look at this story. This is another Southern case. So to my brother who claimed that this isn't happening in the South, you are really silly and really delusional, man. For every one of these cases that hits the news of some kind of murder or assault, can you imagine how many cases are going on? How many incidents of these contacts between these bottom shelf Brad and their white male worshiping contingent is? They have a whole cult around them. The bottom shelf Brad cult is something fierce, man. And we're going to be discovering more and more about this as we go into this election year, and more grassroots black men investigate this thing that we thought didn't exist. Even me, every time I read one of these stories, I'm just scratching my head like, man, we all thought there was a certain look of an American black woman that dealt with these guys. So you thought you could just go into a crowd of black women, oh yeah, she looked like she one of those bottom shelf Brad worshipers. No. In every incident, every woman I see looks like she could be in any economic class. She could be the woman that works at work. She could be the woman sitting next to you in class. None of them walk around with a KKK sign on them. So this case, one of the more sickening and disheartening ones, is that North Carolina father, this happened on August 20th, 2019. All these cases are from the last 12 months. And I know that if you go check out Kid Organic and Brian Solange, they have a treasure trove of cases. They're like the detectives for this whole white male worshiping trend. So North Carolina father murders biracial teen daughter. His own daughter. Family says nobody quote unquote saw this coming. That's because they didn't have any free thinking black men in their family. That's why they didn't see this coming. They never see it coming. Look at that. Look at that very beautiful 15-year-old girl. She was going to be a nice, pretty young woman when she grew up. Her name was Zaria Burgess. So this bottom shelf Brad name is Joshua Lee Burgess. Of North Carolina. Here it is. A suspected white supremacist from North Carolina turned himself in to police Sunday morning and admitted that he had killed his 15-year-old daughter. Now take a look at her. Now that man's only 32 years old, right? So that would mean that, let me see what age he had his daughter at. So he was a teen father. He had his daughter at 17. I got to find a picture of her mother. I saw a picture of her mother, very dark-skinned woman, tatted up and everything. I just want y'all to look at that picture again, because this one, reading it ain't going to hit you as hard. You got to just look at that picture. Innocent little girl, 15 years old, and she was raped. They said that she had been penetrated, and the theory is that he had raped her in his thirst, and then because she was going to tell the mother or tell somebody, he killed her. So that's the theory as we go into the trial. So his trial won't be up until next year either. But let me give you some highlights from what the news is saying about him. So Joshua Lee, pedophile rapist killer Burgess, 32, reportedly entered the Union County Sheriff's Office and told a dispatcher he was there to turn himself in because he had just killed someone. The release says that someone was his 15-year-old biracial daughter, Zaria Burgess. Deputies found the teen dead inside the home. People reports Burgess was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. He has not yet entered a plea and is scheduled to return to court next month. During a preliminary hearing on Monday, the court learned Burgess strangled his daughter before slitting her throat. Strangled his beautiful 15-year-old daughter, man. I mean, God, bro. Look at that, man. Split strangled her, and then slit her throat. His own blood. These bottom shelf Brads don't give a shit, man. These are the same ancestors of those that sold their own children to slavery and stuff like that, man. These are some sick individuals. Again, back to the Black Brain Trust. This strange relationship with white incels and their white male worship is very disturbing. So it says details about his alleged motive has not been revealed. The teen was reportedly visiting her father at his Union County home over the weekend when the murder took place. Her family is devastated by the tragedy. This is her mother speaking. I think this was as much of a shock to Zariah's mother as it has been to anyone who knows the victim, that it was just out of the blue. So I will try to do you guys a favor and see if I can find a picture of the mother to show, because that'll bring it all home for you. Because a lot of dudes on here think that they know the type of American Black woman that's a white male worshiper, and I kid you not, you do not know. So do not fool yourself. So let's see her mother, and maybe we can get an update on the case. There's the mother right there. So hopefully you all can see, but we're going to take a look at Zariah Burgess's mother, the swirling queen. So this is a younger Zariah. This is her when she was younger with her white bottom shelf Brad father. So here she is when she looks like she probably like around 9, 8, something like that. So let's see. So this is her at her death at 15. Sad, man. Let me go back and find the mother. So, okay. So for all you men who say Southern women don't worship white males, that's what the brother told me. Well, here go another one. North Carolina. This is the mother of Zariah Burgess, murdered by her bottom shelf Brad father, who somehow was involved with a Black woman when he was 17. So either the mother was a teen mother as well, or she was a Black, sexual predator that was preying on a younger man. So I gotta find more out about her and see what the age difference is between her and the white dude. So let's see her mother. Let you guys see a picture of the mother. Sad, man. Some sad shit, man. There go the mother right there. So there you guys go. For all of you that claim that you know exactly what a white male worshiper look like, that looked like just a regular, everyday Black American woman that you would see at church on Sunday, if you ask me. She got the little tattoo. So if there's one, there's probably more. I'm not sure what her age is. Maybe you guys can take a guess. I didn't see her age mentioned at all, but she might even be older than the white boy for all we know, because I know how they be getting now. But there she go with her mother, man, and with her brother. So let's look at the son. I don't believe that. I think he's from a Black man or maybe even another white man, but it only mentioned Joshua Burgess being the father of that daughter. So more than likely, he met her while he was in high school or dropped out of high school, met her, got knocked up by her when he was 17. And then later on, because, he left her, obviously, he was estranged from her. And then probably had this young Black boy right here. It's hard to tell. I don't know if he's biracial or Black, but he looks like a regular Black kid. So yeah, let's take a look at the mother again. So there she is, man. So here's a grieving mother whose daughter was killed this year by the white bottom shelf Brad that she was involved with, raped her, strangled her, and slit her throat. Because I can always guarantee you, man, look at his mugshot again. Let's look at his mugshot, because it gives you an idea of the state that he was in. Because remember, he went to the police and turned himself in. Look at what he looked like when he turned himself in that day. He showed up shirtless, man. This dude done something that his conscience tore his whole soul apart. He didn't know what to do. And they ended up saying that he raped her later on. And I can already tell you. So they look like this case. Let me see. So that case was in August 2019 as well, just like the Dominique Layton case. So these were back-to-back cases. So both of these cases will be on trial in 2020, and we will get the motive. We will definitely get the motive, but I have a good feeling that she probably told him, I'm telling mom, I'm reporting you that you raped me. And he was like, nope. dead people tell no tales. So that's your victim, Zariah Burgess, murdered by another BottomShelf Brad, her own father. So I haven't had a chance to look at the comments. I want to see if anyone else has anything to add to this conversation. I thought it was important that I report on this Joshua Pope situation, because every time one of these black misandrists tells you how you're this and how you're not that, you point them to Joshua Pope, you point them to the Dominique Layton case, and you point them to Joshua Burgess, Jason Pope. You point them to them, and you just start there. And by the time we're done with these cases, because they're going to be more and more prevalent, as more and more free-thinking brothers realize the risk involved with dealing with women that deal with these BottomShelf Brad, more and more of them are going to walk away. And they're going to be limited to a very certain group of black men who are willing to play the cleanup man to BottomShelf Brad. But more and more brothers is waking up to this scam that's been played on us. In the daytime, they play like they are a friend and our ally. But when it comes to behind the closed doors, and I'm not just talking about in the bedroom, I'm talking about in the political parties, I'm talking about at the corporate happy hour, these women are totally in the pocket of the same white supremacists they claim are the enemy of black society. And I'm going to have to let that sink in for all of you. You're going to have to make your own decisions what these cases mean. Why? You know, then you're going to get a couple of American black men like, well, those, they don't represent us. Well, if they don't represent you, why are they the loudest in the room? Why are they the most visible? Why don't y'all say anything about it? Why won't you call it out? So they have to be discarded as well. So the women that accept this and don't say anything, but then as soon as something happens with a black man, they're on these airwaves talking about it. Oh, y'all don't protect us. We all know about the infamous Asian beatdowns. We know about the Arab beatdown in Pittsburgh. But we're supposed to protect them. So before I bring anyone on, matter of fact, you know what? Let me look at that Pittsburgh beatdown again, because we're having this conversation about the BottomShelf Brad plan, and we need to bring this home. So let's go back and because they on the run now. They know that they've been exposed, and black men, just like any other buyers in a market, you need to know what you're getting yourself into, man. These women, I'm talking about, they come in all different shapes and sizes that hate you. Just real talk, man. These women are a disgrace to the real black people. You know, they really are. So let's see. This was the beat down inside of the Pittsburgh gas station. So let me see if I can get the right video up and running and let you guys see for yourself what I'm talking about when I say these women are full of shit when they're asking black men to protect them. So let's see. Fuck, man.
No matter who you're with or where you go, it's always better. Knowing you can get just about any.
They always trying to play a bunch of commercials so you can't get to what you need, man.
The Hyundai Palisade.
Gotcha. Never mind. I'm not gonna be able to get that one up, man. They put commercials on everything these days. They can't stand this.
Your fandom.
Oh my God, I can't believe it's like you try to go and get some news. They always have these internet ads on there, and that's why so many journalists are leaving these corporate media outlets, man. All they think about is money. The truth is irrelevant to them. Even when it's like a crime or something like that, man, they're always trying to make a buck off of it. I swear to God, they are. It's hard to just find information for information's sake these days without having to go through a bunch of ads, man. Trying to find it.
Jill has heart failure and a new place to.
All right, I give up, you all. It's not gonna happen. It's too every video footage has like a bunch of ads. But you know, you all go look up that Pittsburgh fight for yourself to see what I'm talking about, man. Like, this is what they mean when they talk about protect them. They get to go lay up with BottomShelf Brad, but behind the scenes, they're always whispering in the ear of these non-black men how interested they are, how much they want to throw themselves, how they're willing to be the white man's whore and all this, but then they want to come back and tell you to protect them. But there was the last case I was going to show you was that one from Dallas, because I've been keeping track of these cases, and that Dallas case stood out of my mind too, because I heard from some people from Dallas that that club that happened, that was a known swirler, white male worshiper bar. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to find that footage either, because like I said, these websites that do keep the footage, I swear every time, they always got a bunch of commercials on here. I'll try one more time. So this was that Dallas case. Tell me that these dudes don't all look the same. Tell me that the BottomShelf Brads don't all look the same. Go back to the opening clip that I had on here of the white man begging black women to leave him alone, and him saying that he is no better than black men. Something that stood out in that, he actually used the term, he said that public, in his eyes, this is interesting, he said they have a superior disposition, and he can't understand why these women are chasing him while he sees all these healthy looking black men, strong looking black men. He used his exact words was superior disposition. He said he can't figure out why these women won't leave him alone and all these stand-up men are out there. So let's see that deep Ellum Dallas assault one more time. If they don't.
An assault on the street.
Let me see.
Thank you for joining us at 5. I'm Gilma Avalos.
And I'm Doug Dunbar. Good to have you. We're told that.
Got some. All right. I'm not going to worry about it today, but you guys go look that up. Let me look at the chat and see what I missed while I was giving my presentation. Yeah, like I said, man, just stop it with this whole protect and serve without any benefits, without any sexual contract or any social contract. We're at a free agent stage now, man. And you just need to let these misandrists go and let these white male worshipers go, man. Just let them go. So let me see some comments. I'll bring some of you guys' comments on the stage. If anyone wants to come on and they have something to say, you know, hit me on the email. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap it up. Just wanted to bring that information out there about Jason Pope, because cases like this should never be allowed to be hidden by the media, man, ever. And that's what happens a lot of times with these cases. The media does a great job of hiding them from the public, or either keeping them at a local level. They might do like one report at a local level. It never goes viral. It never gets to the mainstream population. So if you are a black man down there in South Carolina near that Florence, and you're dealing with American black women specifically in the ages of 13 to 40, and that shows how sexually active some of these women are. I mean, man, dude, you got 13-year-old girls sleeping with 40-year-old men for a bag of weed and a couple dollars to the movie theater, I guess. And these are just the ones that get caught. So the pedophilia and the preying on these women is severe. And you get to asking, where's the father? Where's the mother? And we know that 8 out of 10 black children are raised by their mothers. So they're being raised mostly by Hollywood and the music industry. Their mother is just there in the house when she's there, but they're mostly being raised by Hollywood. Let's be honest about that. So let me see. Let me see what you guys been saying. I'm gonna go back and look at some of these comments. Okay. Black women always find racist white men to get involved with sexually. I mean, definitely the white male worshipers. I'm not going to put that on black women because I don't consider them to be in the same group. I consider that to be black women, your everyday regular black woman, black misandrists, those that hate black men and black boys, and then white male worshipers, those ones that just simply worship white men. Anything that a white man does, that's her God. And then you have the thought. So that's kind of how I categorize what we're dealing with right now in terms of the American black woman. So let me see. Ash Destroyer. So Ash Destroyer says you have to be leery of white dudes who are into black women because it usually means something ain't right mentally. I mean, that's an argument that seems to have a lot of proof, man. A lot of proof. Mr. Fantastic 824. I know the almighty real niggas in prison are gonna serve swift justice to this lunatic, right? I mean, we'll see. You know, we will see, because a lot of these bottom shelf Brads are going off to prison over the next year or two. So that will be interesting, Mr. Fantastic. See, will these black men in there serve justice, or will they say she made her bed, let her live in it, or let her sleep in it? Because remember, a lot of these brothers will feel like, hey, if you are an American black woman, black misandrist, or white male worshiper, and this is the outcome, then that's on you. And they may stand down, because I'm telling free thinking brothers, stand down, man. Let these women go do what they want to do, but just highlight how they are hypocrites about it. So let them do what they want to do. Stand down. I don't think the brothers in prison should be standing up for like a situation like Dominique Layton. Why should they go to the rescue of a woman who was swirling with a white cop that most likely, now remember, that was in Jackson, Mississippi. So the prison that he goes to may very well have a lot of the men that he put in prison in that same prison. But this is the kind of games that these women are playing, man. So why should those black men, she chose to be with that white cop. She was all about Blue Lives Matter. Why should they get themselves involved? So that's a good question. I think that question is going to become more prevalent over the next few years. So let me put this email in here and see if anybody wants to join me that might have something to say before I get off here. So if you want to join, just hit me at that email. So I'm gonna go through a couple more of these comments. Let's see. E-Cop. Majority of black people live in the South, so not sure why anyone would think they wouldn't date our. I don't know, man. But the brother was from Georgia, and he stood strong on his conversation, man. He was like, these black American women down here do not do the white male worship thing. And I'm like, wait, bro, damn near every case I hear about is coming from the South. The Dallas beatdown, the Jackson, Mississippi cop murder, the white bottom shelf Brad murdering his 15-year-old daughter. I mean, what are these people talking about? This Pope cat, Jason Roger Pope, passing out over 600 cases of HIV to girls as young as 13. Are you serious, man? So that brother, I don't know what to tell him, man. He can believe whatever he wants to believe. Let me see. Ain't no black women more obsessed with light eyes and good hair more than the dark-skinned black woman from the South. Man, it seems to be the case, brother. It seems to be the case. So this Mises Coder says the son in the Burgess situation is black. So there was a cleanup drone after the Brad. Okay. So Mize is pointing out that that little black boy, Zariah Burgess's mother, that he was a black. So I told you, there is definitely a contingent of black men out there that are perfectly fine playing the cleanup man to these bottom shelf Brad lovers. And if it means catching HIV from those white boys, they all for it. And that's just the level that some brothers are willing to go to. They can that's their decision. So I recommend that for anyone that hasn't went out there and got an HIV test in the last few years. I just got HIV tested, STD tested like 3 months ago. So I know my results. This is scary stuff. So, hey, stop making excuses. Go out there and get STD tested, man. So that you're not a person out here that may have caught something and you're spreading it. Go fucking get tested, man. So E-Cop again, especially in the South, black and white people live in the same neighborhood and go to the same schools. Wow. Yeah, that would make sense then. So I would imagine that this white male worship agenda is probably way heavier than I could even imagine. I'm just now starting to dig into it, man. It's always invited back into black male spaces after she was used as a ghetto gagger. Now the white guy don't want her no more, and she's back over here telling black men what should be doing. Yeah, brothers that's on that cleanup Brad, program, they off code as far as I'm concerned. I don't want no conversation with the cast-offs of the Ghetto Gagger Brigade. I don't want no conversation with them. I don't want to hear their story. I don't want them in my presence. As far as I'm concerned, when they see me in public, they should put their eyes straight to the ground. We should be able to put like a scarlet letter on their forehead, just the way that the French did those traitors during World War II with the Nazis. These women, they're lucky that they're in such a free society, because if they were in any other society, they would be branded with the, we would put the BSB on their forehead, BottomShelf Brad, cast off. So we would actually stamp BSB on their forehead so that for the rest of their life, even if you was a black man that took one of those women, you would have to walk around with her with that BSB to show your shame as well. So I don't even pay no attention to those toxic females. They're one of the worst. They're actually bringing white male diseases to black men and then blaming it on black men. That's some traitorous shit, man. Getting all this HIV from a white boy like Jason Roger Pope of South Carolina, and then they go off and blame black men because they don't want, because see what it is, they don't want to tell people that they've been, you know, shagging around with this white boy behind the scenes, and he's just a dirty meth head white boy type dude. So they want to put it on black men. This is what we're dealing with, man. But I'm not worried about it. The white male worshipers won't report on these stories. You don't have to worry about it. Let me see. Ken Durant says, that's the Negress's problem. They have a taste of their own worshiping, and sincerely, I don't feel sorry for them, not a bit. Yeah, I don't feel sorry at all. The only case that I feel sorry for is the young lady, man. The 15-year-old girl, Zariah Burgess. It's just sad, man, that she became a victim of her mother's bad decision-making in men. You know, that I do feel sorry for that young girl. I don't have a heart that's cold like that. But these other women like Dominique, Layton, the mothers, the Stephanie Adams situation where she killed her mulatto son, I feel sorry for the children, you know. But she jumped off of that building in New York City and killed her mixed child because her white husband took all her money in that settlement and then was having an affair with the white secretary. She couldn't take it because, again, she climbed Swirl Mountain. She actually got to the top of Swirl Mountain and got that mixed seed. But then it was all for nothing because she ended up killing herself and that little boy, which I don't even think he was older than 6 years old. So she got to the top of Swirl Mountain. She got to the top, got the mixed seed, and then she just couldn't take it psychologically when the white man, her husband, who was probably, I think he was in his 50s, chose a white woman in her late 20s or 30s over her, which she was, I believe, in her 40s when she killed her and her kid. So that's another story. Bruh, this motherfucker looks fucking insane, and this bitch not only couldn't see it, but got pregnant by him. Oh, yeah. They have, that's what I mean by the diplomatic immunity. BottomShelf Brad is immune. Like, there's nothing that he can really do that either won't be blamed on black men or will some way be excused, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, they will always find an excuse, just like the brothers at the Black Brain Trust were pointing out about this very strange and awkward relationship between the white male worshiper and the white incels. It's a very strange relationship, man. Let me see. Albert Hughes, I was about to go see Joker in a few, but listening to this live, I changed my mind. I'll look for it online or wait a little longer. Yeah, that's kind of how I felt, Albert Hughes. Like, when I saw that trailer and I saw the white male worshiper in there, and I know what Hollywood is doing. I've talked about it before, and I'll get into it more later on as I go through these kind of cases. White male Hollywood is pushing this agenda of the white incel male with the white male worshiper because that's part of their campaign strategy to keep American black women engaged in the Democratic Party. So don't be fooled. And if you think I'm joking, pay attention to the commercials and pay attention to almost every movie that's been released from Hollywood since 2016. And they're going to ramp it up something serious. Mark my words. You're going to see black women in roles that they have no business being in. Like, you'll see a black woman that's like 300 pounds playing like Superman in the next year. You'll see the most unattractive black woman, the darkest that they can find, that ain't even attractive, not even a good representative of dark-skinned women. And she's going to be in all kind of roles that would have been for men. You know what I'm saying? They're going to put her front stage and center so that she can feel her ego grow by getting that validation from white society. And that's all political. Mark my words on that. And I will be digging into that later, because every show you see, it'll be a role that a black man never got an offer for. It'll go straight to a black woman, and it don't have no bearing on the history of the character. Makes no sense in the context of the story. But in order to keep those black women engaged with the Democratic Party, they're going to put black women on every TV show having sex with white bottom shelf brads. But in the movies, they don't use the bottom shelf brad because that's real life. They'll let them sleep with the zaddy. So it'll be a black American woman who knows in real life that she can't reach any higher than the bottom shelf brad. But in the movies, they will give that woman a zaddy because that plays to the fantasy. So you black men better be prepared for 2020, because every show that you might have watched when you were a kid, it could be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You know how April O'Neil was a white chick? They're going to find a way to put like a black chick in that role. And I mean, it's just mark my words, man. Every movie you see up until November 7th, I think the election is on November 7th, 2020. Every movie you see or TV show is going to have a black female in the character. But it ain't going to be no black man unless he's some kind of gamma, omega kind of male. But they're going to put her up there. I don't care if she's 5 feet tall. They'll have her playing a character like Black Panther or something. It's just ridiculous. Let me see. Says that now they try to return to bargain table, but the mobile thinking black man left the building a long time ago. I mean, that's fine. Like I said, there's a segment of black American men that are willing to negotiate and play the cleanup man. I'm cool with that. That's their right. It's just not for me. And certain brothers is not having it. Some brothers is like, no, I'll go start my legacy somewhere else. I'll go create my imprint somewhere else. And I don't want a woman that's been imprinted like that by a bottom shelf Brad. Because just think about the kind of state of mind that it has to be for Zariah Burgess's mother to be laying up with that white dude who was very possibly younger than her at the time that she had a kid by him. Just think about the psychology of that kind of person. See, and that has to be dug into deeper over time as well. So let's see. See what else you guys got to say. Black women enjoy the privileges their white daddy gave them, and they were used as a class buffer and watchdog to protect their white daddy interest and put their foot on our necks. I mean, at this point, there's no question about that. I keep saying that the black misandrist and the black male, the white male worshiper are the shields of white supremacy, right? And I also say that the thug and the Sambo are the sword of white supremacy. And considering that, without that shield and without that sword in 2019, we already know that white supremacists is dying a quick death as Asians and other groups compete. And they also buck against white domination. But strangely enough, the one group on earth that should be the most resistant at all times and offer no help to these people are the main ones that are saying to their old white master, when the house is burning down, are we going to burn down too? Are we good? That's them. These are their ancestors. These are their great-grandchildren. They just love white people, man. There's nothing I can say about it. But I see that AJC in red wants to come through. So I'm going to bring him on, and I will let him, say what he has to say and just sit back and read more comments. Because I pretty much, said what I got to say about the topic. The evidence is the evidence. And the white male worshipers and these black messengers could be as mad as they want. But you guys had a 30, 40-year run of dominating these spaces. And now you got to deal with, you can't keep track of us, man. You can't beat us. And the reason that you can't beat us is because we're nobodies. I'm nobody. I'm just your regular, everyday brother. I'm not elite. I'm not a man of means. I'm not select. I'm just a regular dude, man. And it's millions and millions of brothers like me that are using these social media spaces to speak their opinions. So good luck trying to stop it, because it ain't gonna be stopped. The only thing that's gonna stop it is your own behavior and you deciding that this is not the outcomes that you want. But as far as like stopping these conversations, it's not gonna happen. It's only gonna pick up because we're not playing that game of you traitors speaking for us, acting like we're on the same page. Black men in the average now have their own political interests, their own economic goals, and our own social aspirations. And y'all are going to have to deal with this shit. You're going to have to go back to white daddy and white zaddy and say, I can't understand why these black men are not voting Democrat. I can't understand why they're going third party and Republican or not voting. I have no control over it. And on that day, y'all time is over with, man. The Democrats are pretty much finished with their black pink poodles. They're finished with y'all, man. After this election, and if I'm right, and that Donald Trump has a 60% chance of winning, it's over for y'all, because they've already made a deal with the black intersectionalists saying that the only categories on the census in 2030 is going to be white and people of color. And once that becomes the next identification, all these American black women are gone from corporate American government jobs. And I keep saying, black men are adjusted to this situation. We get no help for the most part, which is why so many black men stop voting or are voting for an alternative to the Democrats, because they don't get anything out of it. So let me see. I'm sending out this link to MOT and AJ. Check your email. I did send the link to you guys. Definitely want to hear what you got to say about this. So let me read some more comments. Let's see what's else out here. I'm saying when the racist lays in, it's too late. Okay, here's one from Russian Bot Radio. He's kind of known in these spaces. So Russian Bot Radio Network says, I'm saying when the racist lays hands on a sister, it's too late to protect her. We need to protect them before they buy into the racist stereotypes, because blacks cause blacks to join the Klan. I mean, I can't really disagree with you on that, RBR. You do got to save the young ones, man. And that's what I've been pushing over here too. I talk a lot about Generation Alpha and how they're, you know, in first grade and kindergarten right now. And they're already being indoctrinated into this white male worship. So he's right on that. If you don't save the children, it's over. The younger Zennials, I would say you could save the ones that are under about 13. So infants to 13 is where the focus should be on anyone that claims they care about the future of Black America. If you're going to put any focus on the newborns, Generation Alpha, and the youngest Zennials, because with the way that information flows in 2019, by the time they're around 13, it's game over. Because you saw, and the reason that we know that, we just saw in the Jason Pope case, he was targeting 13, 14 to 16-year-old girls, and they already had the mentality of whores and prostitutes. So that's why you got to get them before they're 13, before that core programming is dropped into them. But unfortunately, I mean, you know, we highlighted a case where there were 3 Memphis men with 83 children or something like that in Memphis. So I don't think it's going to work. All we can do is take control of these airwaves and put out a counter message and hope that young Black boys and young Black girls come across this message and say that all the stuff that my mom and my degenerate father are teaching me is wrong. That's what we can only hope for. That's the best we hope for. And to value our own seed and our own time and decide on who we're going to share it with and who we're not going to share it with. That's all we can do at this point. So I do agree with you on that, RBR. So let me see. Okay, so we got the brother AJC in Red. Y'all can go follow his channel at AJC in Red. I'm going to go ahead and give him the mic and let him spit, you know, see what he got to say. So what's up, AJ, man? Welcome, brother.
Hey, appreciate it. Can you hear me, King Sigma?
Oh, man, I'm glad to have you on. I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I had to come on, man. I got a little gripe I want to speak on, but, man, I told you I had to come in and bless your channel one day, so happy to be here, brother. Yeah, I'm glad that you're on, man. You know, for those that don't know about AJC in Red, he has this term that he calls shock jocks in describing, you know, a tendency of a lot of Black YouTubers to be all about the shock and all about the clickbait content. So, you know, go check him out so you can see that. But that's his phrase, shock jocks. But go ahead, AJ. I'm just going to sit back and read comments, man. Well, I call it like mostly with these Black females, I call them shock thoughts. You know, like they come on here and they try to get emotions. Like as a shock jock would do. These females come on these social media sites and they try to basically get emotion from people, you know, basically to spill their rhetoric. You know, you see that a lot. So that's how they usually build their channels. And, you know, like with me, I come basically at them. I use their own fucking words against them. So, but that's, you know, I actually did some like a video of that on my channel. But anyway, I'm not here to promote my shit. I'm here to support my man King Sigma. But I'm glad that he basically made this this video, you know, and I want to basically chime in on when he was talking about the white supremacy part, because I'm not gonna say a person name, but I heard somebody and that's to all the fellas in the chat. Yeah, a lot of brothers kind of know about me already, but that's to my brothers in the chat who know about me. That I seen one guy video earlier today, live stream, when he was talking about the red pill analogy, and brother X, you was on there too, but I had a problem with what he was saying towards, I keep seeing this white supremacy is the problem with the black community. Now you have right here King Sigma lay it out to you, show you, and like a lot of us brothers be saying, what's really is the problem is these black broads. We keep laying it out to you, but then here y'all keep turning around, keep saying, well, no, it's the white supremacy. It's basically they got us their foot on our necks, and that's not true. We keep proving it to you, brothers. But you brothers keep making these fucking videos, and then you're disrespecting the passport bros and the other brothers like myself, MGTOW, and other brothers who just say, F this shit, we're tired of this, we're walking away, but you're calling us cowards. You're calling us cowards. But we're laying out the premise, we're showing you these black bras are no good for us, and we're deciding to walk away from this shit. But you keep telling us that we're in the wrong because mostly it's white supremacy. But when I ask you, okay, show me it's white supremacy, if the downfall from us, you can't prove shit. You can't.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of you and there's other black males that does this. You continue on doing this bullshit. But I say lay it out. Give me some proof. You can't do it. But here you got King Sigma come on, do a video just like this. These bras are even fucking with these white so-called supremacy dudes, having kids by these white supremacy dudes. And what's your excuse then? But it's us because we don't have the leadership, right? Fuck leadership. These bras don't respect us. They don't care about us. They keep showing us that. So we're deciding to say, fuck them back. And now we have a fucking platform where we could basically tell them and show them, because the stats is showing now that we're saying fuck them. So if you want to be in that community and you want to keep supporting them, go right the fuck ahead. Go right ahead. But we telling you we don't want to fuck with that no more. We see what the fucking end result is. We see the end game. Anyway. I don't know who the brother on here now. I was so upset earlier, King Sigma, because the guy just going, it's always like they traveling, they fucking with these dirty feet broads overseas or in another country. It's always the shaming tactics. They use the same shit these black broads do.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things, like you can debate with that thing back and forth, or you could present the receipts to the people and let them say what, because it always boils down to this: what would a rational and reasonable person do in a specific situation? So that's the bar. So I don't even got to tell you what the subject is. I don't even have to tell you anything. But if I start you with this, what we're looking for is to determine what would the rational and reasonable black man do in this situation or with this information. I don't have to say anything else after that, because if I give you a bunch of topics and I give you a bunch of examples, if you consider yourself a free thinking, reasonable, rational person, you're going to make the wise decision. If you're an irrational person and you have a low IQ or you lack intelligence, then you're going to make the kind of decisions that relate to what someone with a low intelligence would do. So that's why I've always said, you've heard me many times today, I'm not trying to convert no one to no way of thinking. I'm going to share the receipts with you. And I'm so confident in the free thinking brothers, they will make the right decision for themselves going forward. And this is my contribution to trying to save the young black boy and the young black girl from the mistakes that millennials are now making, Zennials are bound to make, Gen X have been made, and boomers have made. That's my contribution. Now, other people are going to contribute in a different way. But did you ask another state agent before I get a mic to MLT?
Is he on? Is MOT there?
MOT
yes,
there?
I'm here.
Yeah, I'm
here.
What's going on with you, brother?
Welcome, MOT.
What's going on?
You got the mic, man. Just go ahead.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on, man. Congratulations on a good show. I just talked to a friend of mine. She was 20 years a swirler, 20 years a swirler, and she never got it. I mean, you know, we both was in basic training around the same time, the summer of 1996, and she just retired 23 years in the Air Force, and she got married. I think every single duty station she ever been to, she got married to a different dude who wasn't black. And all these pro-black and all these other people sat around and let her ass do the shit. So, and she always had the nerve to tell me, why won't I date or deal with or even interact with, you know, certain types of women? I'm like, because you're a shining example of that. Great looking woman, dark skin, but head messed up. And so what they think is that since Black America creates so many sexually compromised men, that she's always going to have a black man at the end of the day, because that's what the culture produces. You have to understand that these people are doing this on purpose. There is no white supremacy here. White supremacy isn't the problem. It's her, because she's not part of our group and she don't act in our interest, and she never has. And the problem is that the other people, they want to cover her moves so that way she can keep doing what she's doing. You want to know why? Because they want to fuck the problem. Yeah, that's the issue here. If you take everything off the table and just examine behavior, that's exactly what it's about. I've never seen a productive man walk around defending shit like this. A dude who has his shit together don't have anything to worry about in this place. And this is why I'm turning up the heat on these dudes, because this is too easy to see. If you remove your presence, she cannot be a problem on her own unless your presence is there with her presence.
And you know,
that's
something
the deal.
Also, MOT, see me, I don't got a problem with them fucking the problem. Just when you end up when she end up being even a more problem, you honor that shit. That's then don't stop blaming the black man that don't want to even be bothered with it. They're
blaming us for not competing with the same thing that messed up their lives, most likely.
Exactly.
And that's how easy and how simple it is. And what people don't understand is, hey man, the reason why people stay within their culture and they don't have to date out is because they have the mind of the woman who wants to be a part of your family and your situation, at the minimum. Now, once that's not the case, people just move on to somewhere else. This is why nobody has pure DNA everywhere, because at the end of the day, those people got tired of them circumstances and decided to move on. That's what male choice is. That's what male nature is. The ability to take my productive and procreative faculties everywhere. They only win if you don't take your productive and procreative faculties elsewhere and they keep doing what they're doing and you decide to stay, then guess what? You're going to keep putting up with this stuff forever. And that's what most of these older maggles who are in this space are promoting. That's why they're here amongst men who are trying to self-improve, because they want this person to be a part of your life before you experience happiness with her ass around. That's the goal of these dudes. They want you to understand that you cannot experience happiness without having this fucking person around. That's the deal. And as long as they can get inside your head and make you think that you're so much of a higher status guy because you have access to this shit that you're overpaying for, that's what this game is about. The game is about fucking your life up and giving her more options. That's what this shit's about.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
I said this on Sigma's, well, it was on Mr. Research Stuff last night, and I've been saying it low key, but this needs to be, in my opinion, a new mantra for a lot of guys that kind of, I mean, we're not all the same people, but we kind of got this kind of mindset as far as cut to the fucking chase. We know what the issue is. Now it's time for us to separate ourselves from the issue. You know, you got people, the problem can be summarized quickly in this. And this is the hoteps. This is a lot of the wannabe newly hotep street dudes, which is not all street dudes, with the dudes that want to find religion, aka hotepism, and try to project that on other people. Is this one comment? They want the community to improve, but they do not want it to change. And we got too many niggas out here that want the community to improve, but they do not want it to change. And they know in order to improve, it actually fundamentally has to change. And that is the Chinese finger trap that a lot of these niggas don't want to really take. White supremacy off the table, take black women off the table. If we're just talking about brothers, there are dudes that are saying, look, the shortest distance to from any 2 points is a straight fucking line. So we'll deal with what has to be dealt with as far as quality of life and stuff like that. But this shit is going to be as straight as it fucking possibly can be. And then you got dudes that want to go these crazy routes and crazy, like routes and shit. And then at the end of the day, it's a bridge to nowhere, because at the end of the day, they just want to keep you distracted to do what the fuck they want you to do, which is what the fucking bitches tell them to do. And they don't even know they're running. They're like in the Matrix. They're like a fucking human being that's in the Matrix, but then they become an agent, because the agents will tap these people, and then the people transform into an agent, and then when they get killed, they turn back into a person. That's literally what a lot of these brothers are. And the problem, what people talk about in the breakup, whatever they want to call it, the breakup of the manosphere, you're really starting to see there's a lot of dudes that are really okay with the shit as it is. They just want it to be better. And it's no different than sisters. A lot of sisters are okay with the quote unquote white supremacy that black people talk about all the time. They just want a better place in it. This is where the colorism bullshit always comes out. These are these complaints that they try to put on black men, but they're really complaints to the dominant society, but they know the dominant society can punish them. White women can punish them. White men can punish them. And quite frankly, a lot of Hispanics and other groups that they perceive that are higher than them, that operate on code, can punish them. So they project all this bullshit on black men. Black men are not protecting me. Black men are not doing this. And then you go back to the thing that RBR said, which is we got to save the children. Yeah, on the surface, that makes sense. But who are you saving the children from? I would say you need to save the children from the source of the issue. I would say black mothers are the source of a lot of this fuckery, because they're the ones that actually plugs these kids in to the mainstream media programming bullshit that happens. They're the ones that defer to these white teachers. They're the ones that are trying to pawn them off in school because they're too much of a burden, because they want to be independent and all of that. But nobody wants to have that conversation, and that's why I'm like, you know what, you motherfuckers are not serious. Anyway, I'll see the floor.
That's why, like I said, Edward, I keep my fucking foot on these motherfucking broads' necks. I just I don't get it. Like these arguments I be hearing, like the live stream I heard earlier. Like I said, I'm not saying any names, but that brother just basically lied, because this motherfucker had an audacity to say, "Well, the police are killing black men." And I said, oh, well, basically they're the number one source of killing black men. And that's why I just be like, I put my hands up, because a lot of these dudes just be basically coming online lying. And do you know there's a lot of women and some black men that fucking agree with them? But we all know the fucking
there's a lot of black men. There's a lot of black men. And by the way, there's way more black men get killed by other black men because they were sent to do so by a bitch. I'm from Chicago. Probably like a 40%.
Edward, I'm in Chicago. I'm in Chicago.
So you already know. The 40% of the black on black crime has to do, it ain't so much with drugs. Yeah, they may be in that industry, but it's really a bitch that said something, or that said he did this or this, or I'm mad about this. And you know how you know that's true? Just to take black women off the table, Hispanic women are real good about talking about if they in that life or they got family in that life, that they brothers or whatever is gonna come get your ass, because they know they gonna tell a story that's gonna activate them dudes to do that shit. Training Day was actually a great example of look at that. This takes black people off the table. Look at that scene of Training Day, how those Hispanics lost their fucking mind. He lost his mind at first when he saw that damn license or whatever ID of his fucking niece. Yeah, he lost his mind. And that's and what's called, I had to calm him down, because that's literally how a lot of black men get when it comes to females. They will tell their story, and these motherfuckers got a gun, so it's just point and click, and then they will lose their fucking mind. And then by the time they realize what they did, okay, now if they, now they about to go to jail. You got dudes that go to jail like that over perceived protection of black women. And black women know what strings they can pull with certain dudes. This is a big reason why they like dudes that are more, it ain't even about them being street, but being like low IQ thugger mode, because they know they could turn into a male brute real fucking quick. Anyway, go ahead.
Bebop and Rocksteady, man. Shredder just send the motherfuckers into the goddamn pile. Don't even care about the life or anything. I mean, dude, I personally served in about 20 different cases where I've seen black men get life sentences in Denver on the behest of a bitch that they don't even know. Person didn't want to talk. Then we show this woman moving on to another guy. Now they talking like a motherfucker because they personally felt betrayed. It's too late. You already getting a life sentence.
I wanted to add something. So this is to all of you on the panel. What did you think about the first case that I highlighted, the Jason Roger Pope case, with him possibly giving anywhere between 600 to 3,600 black women, black girls, and also black boys and black men HIV? Because remember, his targets were black women and black girls, mostly black girls. So that means that if you got 13-year-old girls that are already sexually active, they're mostly having sex with probably dudes in the high school age range, their peers, and then obviously adult men. But you got to really, that's why I wanted Dr. Phoenix on here, because they got this thing that the CDC calls like these STD clusters. And I was trying to get the exact number that could be expected of those that are infected by a dude that is known to have had unprotected sex with, and possibly 600. My guess was around 3,600, but I know the CDC has their own little STD cluster that they can do. If they know who ground zero is, they can usually determine the range of people infected. What do you guys think the range is?
I mean, I'll say this. I didn't see none of those cases, but I will say this. One of the things, see, the typical basic bitch and basic bitch nigga, that's what I'm going to start calling it, is going to say, well, you all are upset because black women are leaving because, or quote unquote, whatever bullshit they want to say. This is what I would say. What a lot of sisters got to understand, let's say my cousins were coming at me and talking about, I want to date interracially. You know, there's a couple conversations going to be had with that. But even with that said, let's say, okay, you're going to do it, whatever, because you're going to do what you're going to do. Why do you want to do it? Like, are you really honest with you? You don't even got to tell me. Are you honest with yourself as far as why you want to date interracially? And if you say something, well, black men do it, that's a projection. Like, take everybody else out of the table. Like, why do you want to date interracially? And we all know why it is. It's because black women have this deep-seated, like all women do, to be validated. It's actually been proven that if you keep validation away from a female, that's actually a form of that can be a form of emotional abuse, because that actually psychologically harms a woman in general. And we all know where black women are in this society. And the reality is white men can give them something that black men can't in this society, which is validation. This is why a lot of sisters will transform and become different people when they're like interacting with white folks, because that's the carrot, that's the impossible carrot that they want to get. So the point is, even if you don't ignore everything we're saying, the reality is most black women are not honest about why they do it. And this is why they can get caught up with these weirdo ass white dudes, because these white dudes are not like, oh, well, he's just a normal, he looks like Chris Evans, I could have never thought he did some shit like that. No, these are like normal weirdo ass white dudes. Like I harken back to Crystal and Karazin in that video where she tried to get the Veganator on her channel, which is a basic weirdo ass white dude, and he said everything. He said, we don't need to go overseas, because if we want some pussy, we know we can find the nearest black female. And even somebody like me, who he said he was borderline a weirdo incel, can get an 8 black chick. That's what he said. And so my point is, and she started crying and shit because that real shit just hit her. The point is, they know who they fucking with. And they choose to do it because they get this kind of ghetto gagger mentality where the validation, that drug of validation, is worth dealing with that shit. So, and I'm not going to say that with these young 13-year-old girls, because a lot of them don't know what they don't fucking know. But I'm sure that's not the only people he was targeting, because that mindset is beyond age. So I'm not surprised. And by the way, if you notice, the other group that does this bullshit, other than getting people infected with HIV, other than white men, a lot of times you guys, every once in a while, sisters trying to do that bullshit too, on some I hate black men shit. But anyway, I'll see the floor.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there was a sister in the military who gave that shit to like 400 people when I was in Germany. Yep. And all she did was just, I mean, because she was super fine. But at the end of the day, she ended up getting affected by a white dude, and she wanted to make every single black person pay for this shit.
Not white person.
She only did the shit to
black person.
No, only black dudes. She used to go home with 13, 14, only black dudes. And she only did that to black men. Because, you know, this problem started propping up all over the place. And then, you know, they traced it back to our installation. And then all of a sudden, everybody squadron per squadron had to go get STD tested. Then, you know, we had to go into the clubs.
What happened to her? What happened to her, man?
Not a goddamn thing. Not a goddamn thing.
I mean, the dudes didn't even activate no interjustice.
Nope.
I mean,
she got a general discharge.
A general discharge.
Under honorable conditions, she still got a VA home loan, a fucking GI Bill, motherfucking everything. She just got a general fucking discharge under honorable conditions for misconduct.
They blame black men. That's what happened. That's what
happened.
Yeah, they tried to flip it and say, well, dude shouldn't have been, y'all should have been fucking in the military. Let that be a lesson to you motherfuckers.
And while you brought up the veganator, Edward, let's bring up the sperminator. Y'all remember this guy, that white guy?
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, there's no accountability.
And he's still doing it. He's still over for business.
And you know, King Sigma, like this shit, man. This shit.
I mean, but here you have these men who celebrate her non-accountability by coming in your face and smiling and shit that this hoe get to do this shit and you niggas get to put up with it. Like, that's the type of goofy shit. And I'm like, look, man, you don't have these dudes who exist in other cultures because they would have purged this fucking problem a long time ago. They don't have an atmosphere where dudes get to come around and nakedly sell out all the male populace in order. They don't have this shit in other cultures. Like, they just don't have it. Like, there is no Casanova of, you name a cultures who got their fucking shit together. They would consider that type of dumb shit just out of order.
And that's what I said last night, because I said last night on Mr. Research Panel, and Preem and Sigma heard me. We was talking about we can't even get motherfuckers on code when it comes to rape. Like, if you want to, even in the prison population, if you're considered to rape little girl, think about it this way. Because this is what I've said this to dudes that are like street dudes, prison dudes that want to come at me with the Hotep shit. I said, what happens to anybody, no matter what race, if they've been considered to be a child molester? What typically happens to them? They're going to give the general answer they give. They probably going to get killed or they're going to get isolated, right? And then I said, in the black community, Nicki Minaj's brother is a known, when I say brutal child molester rapist that raped a girl from 9 years old to basically 13 years old, and he would still be doing it today if it was not for her younger brother catching them in the act. That's number one. Who did she decide to marry? Somebody that was convicted of, granted, statutory rape, and I believe murder. That's who she decided to go low-key back and marry. Then you got, obviously, R. Kelly, which is take white people want to come at R. Kelly. Who is R. Kelly economically made money off of this whole time for the most part, except since he got caught up other than the initial leader stuff. Only time black men go to R. Kelly concerts is if they trying to fuck a chick, meaning they taking the chick there. But for the most part, his stuff playing on the radio, we know white people are not supporting him. We know they're not buying his music. It's only, for the most part, black women. So this is why when people like George Macon want to talk about the child molesting conversation, I'm like, if we're going to talk about it, we're going to talk about all of it. Because if we're not going to talk about all of it, then what you're doing is basically about to frame it in some black men don't protect black women shit. And even when dudes like George,
let me interject real quick, Edward, and I give my, because this is just hitting me. You know what it just really hit me, man. Now, in this area of YouTube, I talk a lot about how we're the minority of black men in America, in the West, right? You know what's so crazy? How is it that guys in this space, free thinking brothers, SYSBM brothers, passport bro type brothers, red pill, black pillars, why are we the ones that are highlighting stories like this? In my opinion, it shouldn't be the men like us that are highlighting these stories. Hotep communists should have had a story about this back the moment that dude was arrested. There should be 100 videos doing commentary and analysis of this bottom shelf Brad that spread HIV to possibly 3,000 to 5,000 people for all we know.
Because they follow the females, Sigma. It's very simple. They just like how black women don't put shit out that white women don't approve of. These dudes don't put shit out for the most part that black women don't approve of. That's one thing you like about social media is this is like collective zeitgeist where you can see based on the spread of numbers what is valued and what is not valued. There's a lot of things that like black women will bitch about all the time on black female YouTube in this space, but then when certain things come up, they get quiet about it. You don't really see black women really talk about the Stacey Dash shit, even though it would drive a lot of views. So you start to see a pattern, and ultimately, this doesn't. That's how you know who they're working for, and that's why I say you don't even realize who the fuck as a group you niggas are working for. You all are working for a lot of these very fucking swirlers that hate black men, but you all have this belief that this is what I call black male guilt. They fundamentally believe, they've accepted the idea that our women are the way our women are because of the failures of black men. They've accepted that subconsciously.
Dr. Phoenix is in the building. Dr. Phoenix is in the chat.
Yeah, so I'll see the floor in a second, but they've accepted that. And another big thing, because this is the first time I've been on a panel with some of y'all. I know y'all want to put this thing on these females' neck, because Lord knows people accuse me of doing that on my channel all the time. But I'm going to tell you something. MOT has the right idea where a lot of this bullshit needs to be aimed at a lot of these dudes. And I'm going to tell you why. Because one of the biggest things that these dudes keep doing, and it was Mr. Fantastic, I was on his panel too, is they want to use white supremacy as a shield to basically protect black women. They want to say the real issue is white supremacy and you're afraid of white supremacy. That's why you're focused on black women. But my thing is, when any group is competing or going to war or whatever you need to do, whatever objective you need to do, the first thing you do is get your shit ready for action. You cannot compete with another group when another group got all of their stuff on the table and you're just sitting here and you got people that are traitors in your midst. Just like even take the women off the table. We can't even effectively deal with the women like a lot of these dudes want to talk about because we got too many traitor ass dudes. And we're not even talking about the quote unquote wannabe select dudes. Take them off the table. We're talking about the simp ass niggas that ain't even fucking these bitches like that.
Facts. I totally agree.
I can understand why the simp niggas, because the simp niggas, because keep this in mind, the dudes that are getting pussy, when I say pussy, I'm not talking about we're not, but I'm talking about the dudes that get kind of, women would just freely give it away, look, and maybe y'all are that, maybe y'all are not. Those, like the preferred sperm donor type dudes, those dudes ain't really got no conviction on shit anyway. They not gonna stand on shit because they're there for free food. So instantly when that stops, they're done. So I'm not even really worried about those dudes because the women are going to fuck them no matter what they do. So really they have nothing to lose anyway. But it's really these simp dudes that ain't got shit to lose that really are creating a lot of the fucking problem because they deify these women. At least the dudes that are getting easy pussy from these shits, like these bitches ain't shit. But y'all ain't gonna fuck with my supply. But these other niggas, they are looking at a black woman as God, and they may not say it directly, but they act like that. They need to be protected. Everything they do is because they're not protected. Like everything they do is justified. But if you flip that with black men, all of a sudden, black men are just supposed to deal with it. Well, I'm like, anyway. So yeah.
Yeah, but Edward, like what they're doing is they're triangulating. That's what it's called in politics.
Okay.
When they're using one group against the other, like they're diverting the anger and trying to focus it towards something that you can't fight against. That's why they always come with the white supremacy shit. Like I'm like, dude, listen, if white supremacy is a problem, how come strong family structures from every other race of people who come here seem to be beating the pants off white supremacy?
Fact.
So how come we can't have strong family structure? Well, if you have strong family structure, then the woman can't do what she wants. That's what these dumb motherfuckers want, man. They want this woman to do whatever the fuck they want, so that way they don't have the burden of production.
Yeah,
it's too simple to see.
They hide that under the guise of if black men do what the fuck they supposed to do, then like magic, women will do what they're supposed to do. Well, let me tell you something. You showed me.
I look at it more as like a financial gain.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it more, you know, because that's what I start seeing. Like when they portray that bullshit, basically like Derek Jackson. It's like more they looking for money.
But he one of the smart ones that already is getting
That's
money.
true.
Most of these niggas ain't getting money. They like
true.
you know these
That's
swirlers that work for Ebony magazine, and it came out that O'Shea pays his writers. We support our writers on, well, not we, but you know, the Negro Manosphere. We pay them more than what the fuck Ebony magazine, a top tier supposedly mainstream outlet, pays. They had they motherfuckers working for free. You know, that's what that came out doing. And that's what a lot of dudes are doing. They're doing this shit for free because they see too much of their mama in a lot of the motherfuckers we talking about. That's really what it is too. And this is why it always comes back to Sigma asks why they keep talking about your mama black. That's what it is. Because they know they see their mama in these females, and that's why these dudes get this knee-jerk fucking reaction. That's why it starts in the fucking home. And that's why you blame who has custody of the children. Well, you know, and this bullshit about women, like they would give up custody to a dude. That's a goddamn lie, and they know they wouldn't because these dudes would get a check anyway.
Yeah, but here's the other thing that is the actual problem here too. It's just there's nothing more pathetic than a man working against his own best interest for fucking free. Like, I get the Derek Jackson shit. His shit is easy to defeat. Just create more productive men. But you know, when you have
I call that cooning for Cocoa Puffs. But go ahead.
Oh yeah. But at the end of the day, we can stop the manufacturing process of these fuckboys by giving them better options overall. That's how you short circuit the overproduction of these fuck niggas in the first place, by just telling motherfuckers to deal with better options. Because right now, my niece is facing this shit right now as a young ass girl in like middle school and shit. But I can see what my older nieces and nephews are going through. Like, dude, this shit is already in the water to stop fucking with these motherfuckers who don't know how to act. And you're not going to be able to overproduce more black men who's going to be not surrounded by dudes not fucking with people like this. Like, what my niece don't realize is that most times when I grew up, black women were your only option. The other girls were just straight out fucking invisible. Now, people like engaging in those options on like a kind of a merit-based system. You give, I give. And she doesn't understand that by her being raised by her whole ass mama who don't like men at all, like she doesn't get how come I'm acting like my mother, but I'm not getting the attention from men that my mother get, even though I'm way prettier than she is. So I have to break it down to her that, you know what, you have to act like the women who are fucking winning if you want to win. You can't act like losers and still win like your mother's winning. That's the shit that she's seeing right now.
Two things that women need. This is why I go as hard as I go, because I got a lot of female cousins. Two things that if black females do this, they'll be all right. Number one, stop acting like you are owed a 9, 10, 8, 9, or 10. You're not owed that. You're going to have to compete for that shit. So stop having these standards like you're entitled to that. And then number two, recognizing that you're going to have to compete for whatever dudes you get. No, recognizing you're going to have to tap into your femininity. You got to find that shit. And if that shit ain't around you, you going to have to go get that shit. Because black women that know how to tap into their femininity don't have these problems. And this is regardless. I'm not going to say they could be ugly as fuck, but this is regardless of generally how they look. They'll find
Edward, I want to go ahead and give Dr. Phoenix a chance.
Yeah, you're right. So I'm gonna hop off, but no, I appreciate y'all guys.
Edward, I appreciate you coming through, man. You guys go and check out Edward Anderson content. He has great content, great conversations. Go check him out on his channel. But I do want to give Dr. Phoenix the mic because this whole thing relates to not just the social impact of, you know, these bottom shelf Brads and their white male worshipers, and how they go about embarrassing the community and putting the community at risk and putting black men and black boys and black girls at risk. We're talking about the spread of HIV and possibly other diseases that this dude might have had, and the cluster that Jason Roger Pope created down there in a small city. Again, the city of Florence only has like about 38,000 residents, and he possibly infected about 10% of the population down there, and that's just the minimum. This dude was like one of these little fake slumming white boy DJs, so we have no idea how many black women he really had access to. We only know about what the investigators are saying, somewhere in the range of 600. So Dr. Phoenix, he's a medical school student right now. Definitely appreciate him coming on. I know that he's probably in midterms right now, but hopefully by having these kind of conversations, it's also helping Dr. Phoenix to look at things that he might want to do for dissertations and certain kind of topics that no one's touching on, as one of the rare Black men that's in an American medical school in 2019. So you got the mic, Dr. Phoenix. Glad to have you back.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on, man. Good afternoon to the panel and everyone in the chat. We've talked about this before, actually a few times. I've talked about this over at the Black Brain Trust. And I actually posted up a link in the chat. It's actually the interview form that the CDC uses for cluster interviews. I don't know if anyone saw it, but I did post a link. Here's the thing. I've talked about the southeast region of the U.S. being the hot spot. That is where your largest clusters of not just HIV, but STI infections in general are happening. So basically everything that is below the Mason-Dixon, that includes the Carolinas, Florida, Georgia, and as far west as Texas. Those are where your hot spots are at. As it relates to this story, typically what happens is that, because someone asked a question in the chat, it doesn't go directly to the CDC initially. So these interviews are local, so they happen local. So a woman may present with a STI or whatever, and so then they go to a clinic or even emergency department. Then they're tested and they're interviewed, and so then usually that's done by the nurse, typically, and then that nurse and or physician, oftentimes they have to follow up depending on what disease it is, like gonorrhea, stuff like that, herpes. Those have to be reported eventually to the CDC. So then it goes up a chain, goes to the public health department, then eventually it goes to state, and then it makes its way to the CDC. That's typically how it works. One of the things I used to do, I used to be a military medic. I talked about this before, but I used to also do a lot of, I used to focus specifically on sexual health, and I used to do a lot of training, and I used to actually have to follow a lot of the incidences of STD infections on posts and stuff like that, because I used to work with what is known as the division surgeon, and that's the highest ranking doctor on the Army military post. And so I used to have to work with them, and so we used to have to track all of these new infections, current infections, or whatever. And so typically what happens is that what you're seeing is that it's not Black men per se that are getting these diseases. Black men are somewhere in a tertiary sense. They're being infected sort of at a tertiary level, meaning that they're usually a recipient from someone else. They're not the ones who are typically getting it and then spreading it to other individuals. No, they're usually someone that's somewhere maybe third or fourth on the chain. And so oftentimes what happens is that women will be sleeping with men, white, specifically non-Black men in this case, white men, if you're being honest, and they would get infected, and then they would go back to Black men, sleep with Black men. Those Black men would get infected, and then eventually it kind of goes down the chain. Because if you look at the current cases of HIV, all new HIV infections, you're seeing somewhere between 60 to 70% of all new HIV infections are Black women, as opposed to somewhere around, in best case scenario, about 40-some% of Black men. Now, however, if you were to subdivide that Black male population into LGBT, gay Black men, you're looking at a rate of almost 50%. So 1 out of every 2 gay Black men are either going to get infected or are infected. So when you look at that, compare that to the Black female population, understanding if you talk to the average gay Black male, you know, he sounds no different than a lot of Black females that you all are talking about. And many of his mannerisms and his behaviors were put in place by that Black woman. And in that respect, it becomes an issue of where, and you mentioned this earlier about saving Black people. It is pretty well known, and research has proven this, that your psychology begins to solidify around 12, 13 years of age. So I agree with what you said earlier, that you should not be, if you're going to save people, it needs to be people 12 and under. I would not think about trying to deal with folks that are 13 or older, because once you're into those preteen, teen years, it's kind of difficult to get to those people. So,
were you like, so based on your knowledge of these STD clusters, the investigators said that they think it's around 600 that he directly infected. How would that work with an STD cluster in a city so small with only a 38,000 population, half Black, half white? What would y'all? What I put it at about 3,600 would be the net that he cast in that city. What is it that you get from these STD cluster studies in a situation like that you guys would expect are possibly infected in that situation?
For me, it would just simply be that, again, I think this is very important for brothers, because if you look, this is pretty much, if you go back to just even slavery, this has typically been how things have gone. This has pretty much been the standard operating procedure. Black women have always procreated, have always had sex with white men, and in turn have taken many of those diseases back to Black men. Because again, this will also explain why you see such a huge disparity in the rates of sexually transmitted infections among black men. Why you're seeing rates almost 2 to 1 for Black women compared to Black men. I mean, because they're having sex with someone.
Well, you know what's funny? When you look at this STD data, it's pretty clear that all these dudes that think they're such players, they don't even know, they don't hold a candle to these American Black women. Black women is having more sex on average than the average Black man, and that's actually true for white people as well. But it's just funny that the dudes just went around there pumping their chest, but it's very few Black men that compete with all the bottom shelf Brads that I highlighted on here. These dudes all have body counts amongst Black women over 100 plus, easily. This dude, he has like a 600 body count, and most of them are teenage girls on some pedophile tip. And these dudes are pumping their chest like King Kong, acting as if they're the players. No, bottom shelf Brad and the Black misandrist and the white male worshiper, their body counts is killing you select dudes. I mean,
yeah, I would agree with that.
And she's bringing back an STD from white zaddy to you. That's what I wanted to open a lot of brothers' eyes up. These women are bringing back STDs from their white bottom shelf Brads to you. I don't know, Dr. Phoenix, did you see the opening with the white boy complaining about how many Black women are contacting him and how he's tired of it?
You know what? Look, you and I are in the same area. I can tell you right now where I'm at. I see this all the time. In fact, just a couple weeks ago, I was at a meeting. It was myself and a bunch of other Black medical students. And this was nothing but Black physicians and surgeons. We're all sitting in this room. There's about 30 of us. There was one non-Black male in there. He was a Latino. And there was this Black female sitting in that room, sitting right next to him. And she was Googling and oogling all over this guy. And I mean, this dude says one thing, and she just slapping his arm, just being all Googling. And I'm just sitting here looking like, I'll be damned, this bitch.
And you know what's funny? That same female, if that dude was to reject her, she would come back to y'all talking about, I don't know why y'all talking to that Latino dude, all this kind of stuff. Oh, I love Black men. You're so handsome and you so smart. That's why I say these brothers are having psychological warfare on them performed by these women to a degree that they have no clue. Just think about that from a military situation. You have soldiers in a war, right? And the soldiers are sent out on a mission, but then they come back to the barracks and find out that the sergeants and the officers are all having dinner with the enemy and cavorting and drinking and all that when they get back to the barracks. So they've been out there on the battlefield. They come back to the barracks and they look in the window and they see all the officers of the enemy partying up that you were just lost like 50% of your troop. See, this is the kind, that's a hard thing to put into words, how you should feel as a Black man seeing this. So you being sent out on these missions, right? But then as soon as you come back, half of your group is gone. You're sad. You had to bury bodies. You're bloody and wounded. You go back looking for the officers. All the officers are in there partying with the same people that you just fought on the battlefield. That's the kind of circular reasoning that we have going on right now, and it needs to be really put out there over the next 12 months. Black men have to have the information they need to know exactly what they're dealing with as we go into this critical year in American history, in Black history. And it's a lot of white male worshipers out there. They are angry. They never thought they would see the day that Black men had multiple blogs, multiple platforms, and millions of voices that's about to hit them all at the same time. They thought that they was going to ride this gravy train all through the Zennial generation and probably through the Generation Alpha generation. The train, that train is done. That train, the brake, because Black men was always the brakes on this. We always had the power to put the brakes on this. But as long as they kept us in a total state of ignorance and kept us chasing after this imaginary Black love in the Black community, everything was good. But now all of a sudden they tight because Black men that are not celebrities, that are not famous, that are not rich, just regular dudes are presenting stronger, better arguments than all the celebrities that they worship on TV. And that's why they're so tight right now, because they can't stop it.
Yeah, you know, the CDC had pegged they believe he infected about 600. You know, typically, you know, you kind of make an estimate and those estimates are generally doubled. I would probably say it's probably even double. I'd probably say it's probably twice as many. You know, I would probably peg it somewhere around about 800 to maybe even 1,200 or so people of women. Because again,
and so think about it. Okay, if we use your cluster number, 1,200 women, how many sex partners does the average American Black woman between the age of 13 and 40 have?
I mean, again, you gotta understand, a lot of these women are probably turning tricks. This is the other little part of the story that never gets talked about. These women are turned out young, and many of them are turning tricks. I mean, what was it, the one singer Keisha Cole? She talked about she could never really know anything about her father. Why? Because her mom was turning tricks. Her mom was a crackhead.
So she was a trick baby.
Yeah.
And we have a whole generation of trick babies between 1995, and that's why I'm so outspoken on the millennial generation, because a lot of people don't want to discuss the fact that we had a lot of crack babies and a lot of trick babies born during that 15-year period between maybe even 20, like 1979 to about like 1995 or that range. You had a lot of trick babies born and a lot of crack babies born, and everyone just wants to ignore it and sweep it under the rug, because that's been the tendency amongst a lot of Black people. Any kind of like bad information, they don't want it put out there. And that's damaged so many Black boys and Black girls who have not had no way to speak out on the pains that they feel and the mental illness that they're dealing with. They were born into the shit. They were just born into a situation where their mom was turning a trick with one of these white BottomShelf Brads or some other bum ass dude. And now they got to deal with all this pain that they have because their mom's lying to them. And that was a part of Joker as well. I haven't even went and saw it, but based on the reviews I've read, one of the threads in the story was that his mom was on some thought or lying type tip, telling him that he was the son of a rich man, and come to find out that he wasn't, or he was the son of a bum. Like you just said, his mom might have turned a trick or was some mentally ill dude. And that's where his mental illness come from, because we know that a lot of mental illness is genetic. So yeah, your mom could be out there turning tricks like these little 13-year-old girls in the Jason Pope case, and she gets pregnant as a 14-year-old teenager. She got AIDS at 14. Audience, these little girls getting AIDS at 13, 14, 15.
Yes, actually, that's
true, point. Especially in the South. It's very true.
I mean, they're getting pregnant at 12, 13, and 14.
I mean, and that's a very good point, because the fastest growing group of new HIV cases are those in their teens to early 20s. That is, and this has been the case certainly for at least the past decade, at the very least.
Where are the Hotep communists and the genocide warrior class on this topic? Where are the gynocentric drones? Where are the mammies? Where are they at on this topic?
Yeah,
Black girls are getting HIV before they even get to high school.
Facts.
Well, here's the other part of it. We talk about, we know that, for example, Black women they have the most hysterectomies. Oh my God. Good God.
Rectomy.
Can you describe a hysterectomy to the audience?
Yeah, they have the most hysterectomies of any group of women in the country, right?
Wow.
And the number one cause of hysterectomies are uterine fibroids.
Uterine fibroids. Okay.
So uterine fibroids, Black women have more uterine fibroids than any other group of women. Why? One part of it is they use a lot of really toxic hair products. That's certainly a big part of it. Because
wait, hold on. You saying that hair products can lead to hysterectomies as well?
Well, it leads to uterine fibroids.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because these products are what we call.
I want to pause you there before you go on, because this is another thing. Because I was talking to MOT about how there's so many opportunities for lawsuits in fraud cases or liabilities. Isn't it interesting that you just said that? I ain't never heard that, right? Now, how many Black women since the 80s have used these hair products and have a viable lawsuit and a valid legal claim to sue these companies? But yet again, why is it that in these red pill, black pill spaces, we're the only ones bringing up these issues? If I'm a Black woman and I have all these educated Black women, they should be out there trying to get a class action lawsuit against the companies producing these hair products. But guess what? They're not going to speak on this stuff because they're okay with it. They're willing to take the risk of their health to look like artificial white women and Asian women. But you got the mic back.
Yeah, I mean, again, I know women right now that are medical doctors, that are nurse practitioners, whatever in their health, in the medical field. And these women use the exact same products too. I mean, this is not something that is exclusive to lower income, impoverished women. This is something that goes across all age and socioeconomic lines. So we're not, I mean, this is something that is not exclusive to the women in the hood, quote. This is something that is indicative of all Black women across the board. But here's the thing. Uterine fibroids can be caused, and there's a lot of research. If you guys were to Google this right now, just look up, the hair products can be linked to thyroid issues, thyroid cancers. They are known what we call endocrine disruptors. Endocrine is your system, it's the system in the body that controls your hormones. So again, the principal hormones of women, progesterone, estrogen, right? You need progesterone, to keep a pregnancy going. So, however, if you look at the fact that they're getting uterine fibroids, but the other cause of uterine fibroids as well can be STIs, specifically chlamydia.
And I read an article that said 80% of all sexually active Americans have had crossed the paths of chlamydia at some point.
Yeah, I can certainly believe that. It is the most common STI in the country. It is the most common by far.
Yeah, I heard that too. That's why I thought you was gonna say was the STI.
Right, syphilis is on the rise as well. Something that
we had babies in my city were just born with syphilis last year. Crazy. I mean, it's always been a problem in my area, and for years those numbers had gone down. But we've had a few cases that were pretty significant because it was a small number of cases, and we thought that this had been dealt with. But there were Black babies born in my city with syphilis.
Can I ask you guys? I got a question for you. Okay, so the topic is about these the Bottom Shelf Brad that was highlighted in this first episode of the Surviving Bottom Shelf Brad series. So when you read about a dude like that and you hear these Black men talking about this select or non-select, what is up with this worship of the white seed by their cult? Like, how do you see this worship of the white seed that they're willing to take the risk of get HIV, willing to, sell their daughters to these men, willing to risk homicide? Like, what is it that makes them so obsessed with the mixed seed? That's what
I got two words: self-hatred.
I think it comes down to nothing other than that. They look in the mirror every day, brother, and they see something they absolutely have disdain for. They hate it. I mean, you've been on the tear this week just highlighting this. I mean, you talked about this so many times. I mean, when they look in the mirror, they hate what they see. And by definition, if you hate what you see, you reject it all. You talked about how these black women reject having black babies, specifically black males.
Mm.
I mean, that is nothing but straight hatred. They would not exist without an X chromosome from their father. But that's what they have so much disdain for. They take that hatred of themselves and they project that onto black men.
Yeah, that's what I feel. And I've been saying for a while, man, that these black men out here, they don't get it. Like, these women in this current manifestation of the American black woman, she values that white seed, and she is totally okay with the eugenics thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, she herself is willing to volunteer her body to create a whole generation of mulattoes because, like you mentioned, I just think that they wake up every day and they fucking hate what they see in the mirror, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they really do. And it's not something that we black men can understand. And that's why I stopped even trying to argue with them about their own issues, because I think that it's a very specific thing to them. Because I'll see, like, Oprah, right? She had this big black love thing, which was funny, right? So on the OWN channel, Oprah put on this black love conversation lately, but there were no black men, right? So it was all black women, all beaten down, post-war, whatever, right? Single mothers, right? They're all talking about the issues with black men. But while they're making all these comments about the black man is not present, I could barely see one woman that didn't have white women and Asian women's hair on their head. I mean, it's unreal. Like, they'll be talking about all the things that's wrong with black men, but show me a high percentage of black men that's walking around trying to look like a white man.
Yeah.
You don't see it.
Exactly.
You know, it was so pathetic, brother. And what's really messed up about this is that, again, I don't know a black nurse or physician, brother, black female nurse or physician, that does not display the similar levels of behavior and certainly have a propensity to have the perms, the weaves, and they know what it does. They know how it's very disruptive and destructive to black female endocrinology. You know, how it destroys their wombs, how it causes fibroids. Again, you know, and the reason why this story is so important is not just because of the fact that you have one white man that has slept with and infected at least 600 plus women, but because we talk about rampant rates of STIs in black society.
Because I've been tracking some comments over the last couple minutes, right? You know something I just noticed? I just sat up here and did a whole hour discussion of a case that's going on right now in South Carolina. They just arrested a 42-year-old man that raped, molested all these young girls, mostly teenagers, right? Gave over 600 women AIDS. Do you know that I haven't seen one black woman come into the chat and speak directly to that issue? Every black woman that's come into the chat today has spoke directly to either something that I said or something the panelists said to attack us. This is what I mean when I'm talking about these BottomShelf Brads they have diplomatic immunity. Even though you got a bunch of brothers talking about something that was in the news, not something that we cared to make up. It's just in the news that he infected 600 mostly black girls, and not one of these girls has mentioned him or mentioned the white man Joshua Burgess that killed his biracial daughter, or mentioned the white cop that killed Dominique Layton. But they responded directly to something that was said on this panel. If you are a psychologist out there, I know that Dr. Phoenix is medical. You black psychologists have also failed Black America.
Oh, no doubt
How
about
can
it.
you stand back and not study the mentality of the white male worshiper and their hatred of black men? I said for an hour, highlighting the case in the news of a white BottomShelf Brad infecting all these black girls, raping them, seducing them with bags of weed and $10 for lunch. And I haven't saw one black woman in this chat say anything directly to that. This is crazy.
You know what? I'll tell you a personal story, brother. I have an ex-girlfriend. She has a cousin who was knocked up by her meth dealer. This girl has a white baby. I remember years ago when I first saw this baby, I called this baby alienation because this baby just looked weird. and the most ironic thing when I asked about, I said, because her father, the girl's father has a mixed child because he married a white woman, whatever, after he broke up with her mother. But anyhow, this woman had this child with her meth dealer. This is a black woman, used to do meth. Had the child with the meth dealer. This was some hillbilly, backwater, inbred ass white boy. And this is in Wisconsin. And I just remember, and I just looked and I shook my head, and all this woman ever did was talk cash shit about brothers. But yet she had this child with her meth dealer, a white boy. Wow. Some backwater ass small town in Wisconsin. So again, this is what we see. We see we hear these stories. We know it. Even in the South, I know a young lady right now who's at LSU, and she talked about when she got down there, how first thing she saw, she saw nothing but a bunch of black females running around with a bunch of goddamn neo-Confederates.
Yep.
And this is the crazy shit we see, and I see this all the time here. I see this where I'm at now. Even in my undergrad, this is what you see. You see a lot of these. You saw these black females, and what the other part of the story they don't tell you. These women many of these girls aren't just turning tricks when they're 13 and 14 and 15 years old. No, you got these older bras out here who are just wholesale paying for these dudes. That's how you get the stories about the Jesse's hair company, the black woman that owned it, the white boy that she was with, that she put on, helped him build his business, funded his business. When she committed suicide a few years ago, what happened? Was it
the Stephanie Adams situation?
Was that brother?
Are you referring to the Stephanie Adams situation?
I think that was her name, but the woman that started that Jesse's hair company or whatever it was called.
Oh, that's a different case. Damn, I didn't even hear it. I was talking about
this. If you look up that Jesse's, it's like a very well known.
Hold up. You said what is the name of it?
It's called Jesse's Hair or something, Jesse's Hair or whatever. But the woman that started was a black woman.
Okay.
She was with this white guy. This white guy, like, she helped him build his business, brought him a home. I mean, he was the true definition of what you all call a bottom shelf Brad.
Wow.
She committed suicide a few years ago. I want to say maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. And I kid you not, man, her whole I think she didn't leave a will or left a will that he was part of that beneficiary of. And so the family has been fighting this dude for probably the last few years. But he's a bottom shelf Brad. And
that's interesting that story is not more known to the brothers in this space, because I've never heard anyone in this space.
Yeah, if you brothers Google it. I mean, it's a crazy story. But basically, what happens is that I think her company was bought out by, I want to say maybe L'Oreal or something like that. But she had this inheritance, and again, it sounds like all of it is all in what they call it oh my God, I can't think of the name right now. All of it is being disputed. The family is fighting with this dude to get control and ownership of it. And he's the very definition of a bottom shelf Brad, a guy that she paid for, she put on, built businesses, funded it. And yet, we hear these stories all the time of black women running around saying, can't find the brother.
All right. I got this story that Dr. Phoenix is talking about up. I never heard of it. And I think it's important that you guys know about this story, because again, we gonna have a whole database of this bottom shelf Brad situation and their relationship with these white male worshipers, so that.
But King Sigma, can somebody give me a story? Somebody show me something. What have they gained?
Well, I don't know, but I know
anything. Give me that story.
I know.
I'm waiting for that story.
I don't know what they. Well, I guess for them, having biracial children is the only prize. So I guess you would say that's what they gain. But I know they're taking a lot of L's. So here's a story that Dr. Phoenix is referring to, everyone. The owner of a company called Miss Jessie's. So Miss Jessie's Tita Branch driven to suicide by boyfriend, says her sister. So let's go ahead and dig through this. Another graveyard story from the graveyard of Swirl Mountain. In court papers filed at Manhattan Supreme Court, Miko Branch alleges that TD's boyfriend had undue influence over her sister. So, I mean, these are very attractive American black women. I told you, bro. You guys think you select? You ain't got shit on bottom shelf Brad.
And that's why I don't believe in this select and non-select no more. You know, and you notice they be natural. They take the weave out and everything.
She's on the left. She's very pretty.
Yeah, very pretty.
A lot of brothers will get a left testicle to get a shot at her, but bottom shelf Brad, he could be sitting in a box on Skid Row, and she'd be like, "I'm gonna make a man out of that dude right there." This is your competition. Why you think that other brothers are the competition? There is a new entry into this discussion. So let's.
I don't even think it's new. It's always been the case.
Oh, it's always been there.
Yeah.
But it's now being exposed to the mainstream by black men. So that's more important because it's definitely the daughters of the trade thing has been there. But I'm thinking, how many of us grew up knowing that this was going on? I did.
And they get the ghetto gag these women too.
Man, they get to fuck these women in every kind of exotic position. They can't turn down the diplomatic immunity of bottom shelf Brad, but it says Miss Jessie's co-founder, TT Branches, suicide late last year. So it looks like TT Branch is the one on the left. Very fine sister in the picture, at least. I mean, come on, bro. You don't really see a lot of black American women walking around every day that look like that. So I'm quite sure she got a whole roster of black men trying to get at her, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. But for her white bottom shelf Brad, she is willing to die for him. She is willing to kill for him. She is willing to assassinate black. I mean, it ain't nothing that he can't get. So it says Miss Jessie's co-founder late last year was a shock. Her suicide was a shock to the hair care industry, and everyone who knew her. The 45-year-old hair care entrepreneur seemed to have, now this is important, seemed to have the perfect life, a booming business, a great family, and a loving bottom shelf Brad boyfriend with whom she had launched a line of beard care products with. But according to her sister, Miko Branch, TT's boyfriend, Anthony Spadafora, probably like an Italian dude with that name, treated her like a human ATM and continually siphoned off money from her. Where have I heard that applied to before? Treated her like a human ATM, but white men build. All white men are rich. All white men are great. All white men are full of virtue. All white men walk in the footstep of Jesus Christ. Hear them tell it. According to the New York Post,
that bullshit. They are paying for these men.
Right.
They paying. Let's look at the receipts from the invoices in court. According to the New York Post, in court papers filed at Manhattan Supreme Court, Branch alleges that Spadaforo's undue influence led him to extract hundreds of thousands of dollars from TT to launch his own beard care business, Maestro's Classics, $420,000 to buy and renovate a Pennsylvania house, and $135,000 interest-free loan. Brother, what could you do with $500,000 right now? I mean, half a million. What could you do right now?
Who asked this? King Sigma.
What?
Who asked this woman to come back to the community and actually build a community?
Oh, you don't have to come back to the community. She's free to give all her. You know, one of the arguments of the white male worshippers is that you black men, y'all go off and marry them non-black women and you give them all your resources. Oh, but sister, every time I read about one of these rich white male worshippers, it's always the female giving out all the money to the bottom shelf Brad. Alicia,
they're tricking, brother. They've been doing, man. This has been I can't tell you, brothers, how many bras I know that are professionals gone to some of the top.
Facts, Dr. Phoenix. Facts.
White male worshiper, no one is more faithful than bottom shelf Brad. But it gets interesting in this case. Miko also alleges that TT was ready to end her relationship with Spadafora after he already hit her for $500,000 when she found out he made sexual advances towards her trainer. But the 43-year-old took extreme measures to stop her, sending compromising photographs that he had taken of her. Now, this is very similar to the Stephanie Adams case of the woman the former Playboy model that killed herself and the mulatto son. Remember, she had got that $1.3 million settlement from the NYPD, ironically, over a racial claim, and she ended up giving all that money to her bottom shelf Brad, who was having an affair with his 32 or some year old secretary. And it says, according to the court papers, just days after her death, Spotify sent the Branch family a barrage of emails claiming that TT had drafted a new will, giving him 50% of everything. Oh, that boy getting that bag. Them white boys know how to,
Dude, that's what they do, man.
boys know how to get the bag. White boys don't play around. Black dudes is happy to get some pussy, but white boys, like, you can have a pussy, give me the bag. She said,
that's what they do, brother. I'm telling you, I know too many black women that are professionals done got cleaned the hell out by these bottom shelf ass.
Now look at how dominant these white boys are. When we get into the life insurance policy part, the white boy says, Miko, the bully of Brooklyn, is what he calls the sister of the Miss Jessie owner. He says the two sisters had a fallen out in September 2013. This is him saying in the court papers saying that the sister's lying on him, which caused TT to remove the sister as the beneficiary of her $2 million life insurance policy. He claims he planned to start a family with TT, and multiple rounds of in vitro fertilization left her drained and despondent. So he couldn't even get the broad pregnant, whether it was because of her own weak eggs or him shooting blanks. But he is named the #1 beneficiary on her $2 million life insurance policy, as well as all the other money that he's owed as far as being the spouse. He says, my love failed. I thought it was good enough if there wasn't a baby, he said. My sister's death has been a devastating blow, Miko told the Post. It was only after TT's death that we learned more about what she had been going through and how her affairs were being managed. So you the one that presented this case. Tell us more about it now that the audience has a little intro to the case, Dr. Phoenix.
Well, I mean, this is just really a case study of essentially what happens in these scenarios where you have these well-to-do black women, professional black women that do this. I mean, this is how they operate. I don't know, and I have not met a woman at this level in my lifetime who do not sleep and who do not have sex with and are not in relationships with white
That's
people.
bullshit, you lying bastard. You know damn well
not the one. I got a better story, brother.
You know damn well the American black woman is the most loyal, the most chaste, and the least protected woman on the planet. You lying. Ain't no way that the most.
I got a better story, brother.
You're lying.
November, I think it was last November. Look this up. This was in Chicago. You had a shooting at Mercy Hospital. A black physician was killed. A black female physician was killed by her Latin Casanova.
Yeah, I'm in Chicago. I know all about this.
I'm from Chicago as well, and I know
that's what's up, brother.
Very well because I was born at one of the former hospitals they had there that it's closed now, but I was born there, and I'm telling you, look that story up. Black physician. I think she was an ER physician or something like that. Was killed. Her and 3 other folks were killed by this guy. He could never get out of firefighter school, could never pass it. This dude was one of these Latin
guy. Actually, and he basically killed over because he wanted the ring back. He engaged, not to cut you off, brother. But you know, this story, what he's saying, you rather consider him like a lower tier. I guess what's a Latino name? No disrespect to my Latino brothers, but
yeah, we haven't come up. We got bottom shelf Brad. We gotta come up with something for old Jose. What I used to old Jose, because I've been hearing
Batista. Bottom shelf
Batista is too much of a prestigious
feminine name. Yeah.
You gotta come up with something that fits like a bottom shelf Brad in the Asian and the Latino dudes. Like, what's a good version of that? Like Pablo.
No.
I don't know, King Sigma. I don't think they're checking for the Asian.
It has to be with a B.
I'm not seeing.
It has to be a B.
Habib.
No. I will find you a name. Yeah,
you gonna have to email me because we got bottom shelf Brad fits so perfectly. I don't know if we're gonna be the top there with the Latinos and the Asian dudes, but we gotta come up with something from them. They've been promoting them too. So
yeah, but hearing like he was saying, Dr. Phoenix was saying that it's a lot of black women trying to date Latino men here. You know, but it's crazy. Like here, a lot of Latino women really don't like black men. It's like I always say I was going to do a video on this, and I was going to lay out the facts that Chicago is a city that hates black men. Seriously, I was just gonna lay it
I
out.
would agree with
Is
that.
there a city that loves black men outside of the Northwest?
Good question.
That's
Great question.
I think in the audience. So AJ says that Chicago is a city that hates black men, but I'm trying to figure out name the cities that love black men.
I think cities where brothers can get a lot of traction at. I would say go to Houston, Dallas. I think a lot of cities in Texas, brothers get a lot of traction there. I would even say DC. I know a lot of brothers out there. I know a number of brothers out in DC. You know, they do very well. Brothers obviously clean up in the Northwest. I would even say California.
Yeah, I would go say California because when I was in the military, when I left from here and I went to San Diego, it was like a total difference. Like I never seen that before. But I actually was going to just start that, and I was going to ask the black guys to basically to speak on, like, if you in the city, like you usually just see women that just say they don't date black men. Basically, you in the city that hates you. So I was going to start here with Chicago.
I got you. Two of them.
What's that?
Bottom Shelf Blanco.
Come on, you reach it, brother.
see, Bottom Shelf Blanco, it don't have that same ring as Bottom Shelf Brad, man. It just I need
Bottom Shelf Berto.
It gotta be something like, you know what? It gotta be something like Alley Cat Alvarez or some shit. You guys gotta get credit. Alley Cat Alvarez, because Bottom Shelf Brad is so good that it gotta be on that level that brothers, when they hear it, we all know it on code. So Bottom Shelf Brad.
Bottom Shelf Bernardo? Shelf Bernardo?
Oh, wait. Somebody said Seattle. I got to throw Seattle out there. I had my best time in Seattle and Canada. Can we?
Yeah, no, someone put up
Canada?
Put up Denver. Yeah, I agree with Denver.
Denver. Seattle. I got a lot of love in Seattle. A lot.
I know a brother right now, because I mean, you and I talked before, Sigma, but I went to school in Australia, and the brother that I met, he was from Chicago, but he lived in Denver at the time, and he used to manage a couple of clubs, and he met his wife at one of these clubs, and she was from Australia, and he was the one that got me to the school in Australia. But anyhow, I say that because when I was in Denver, the times I've been to Denver, yeah, I got a lot of love out there. So I mean,
oh yeah, that's where I live at.
In fact, I would just tell you outright, you would go to places like Denver, you won't find black couples. You go find black men with other women.
My eyes said Machete Ramirez. Oh, he said Machete. So we got y'all. You guys are having a problem coming up with a name, bro. Because I know it's hard to top Bottom Shelf Brad, because it just.
I know. I'm loving this, though, man. I am loving this, man. I have a great time with this.
You know, the really sad part about this, and because we've been hearing this for decades. Certainly, I've been hearing this since I was I
like that one. Yo, we got a contender, Dirty Sanchez.
Oh yeah, baby. Dirty Sanchez. Yes! We win. We got a winner, man. We got a winner.
Yo, shout out.
Oh my God.
Who came up with that? Let me see. Who came up with
that?
Oh God.
Who came up with that, bro? Okay, Snow Ibmore. Shout out to you, bro.
Oh God. Off the top rope.
I gotta find his comment, man. I gotta highlight him, bro. That was good. I like that one, man.
You know the real sad part about this.
Dirty Sanchez, got it, bro. I'm
gonna mute up. I'm done, man.
I
don't know. Can you brothers top that? Because Dirty Sanchez.
I don't know. You can.
That sums it up. And I can tell you a personal story of of this mixed girl I used to mess with back when I was in my. Man, I was like late teens, maybe early 20s. And this was in Chicago. She lived over on the north side in Humboldt Park. And I had just gotten back from Iraq, and she was half Mexican, half black. Her mom was this old crackhead alcoholic ass broad, but she fucked around with one of these motherfucking cholos out there and shit. And got knocked up. I guess she used to turn tricks or whatever. But yeah, I used to mess with this chick for about a year or so, but this girl was all kinds of messed up.
Well, we got a winner on this one, Dirty Sanchez. Now we got to come up with another one. We got one more. So to the audience and the panel, before we close this out today, we got to come up with one for the Asians, because now the Asians, they've been highlighted in some of these conversations where they talk. Now they telling black women, well, you know that the black women is the most educated and Asian men is the most educated. So we need to get together. So we're going to have to come. So we got Bottom Shelf Brad, Dirty Sanchez. It just rings. We still need one for the Asian dudes and the Middle Eastern dudes. So we on the Asian dudes now. What is the equivalent of Dirty Sanchez and Bottom Shelf Brad for the Asian dudes, black men? So we taking all I get you. You're not topping Dirty Sanchez, so we can just move on.
Yeah.
You need something.
I mean, now. This is better than the racial draft that Dave Chappelle did, man. This is pretty interesting.
Man, we gotta. So what you think, MOT? You got something on this Asian one? That's gonna be a hard one, man.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know what? Shout out to the brother Mike V in the Black Brain Trust. I listened to the playback those brothers did last night talking about that Joker movie. I have not seen it personally, but from what they were saying, I mean, the movie just highlights pretty much what black men see in their everyday life. You see this, you see these very dysfunctional as women who are chasing and lusting after these bottom tier ass white men, and then taking that and then projecting all of that dysfunction onto brothers. I mean, it's I mean, even if we just consider just that the case how this conversation started out with, you're looking at black women who
we got a winner. I think we got a winner, man.
Wayne Lee,
Soy Lee.
Soy Lee.
I like it. Soy Lee. I like that one, yo. Hey, shout out to Dave Teo. I gotta get the vote from the panel though. What does the vote think of Soy Lee?
Soy Lee versus what though?
We still going, but it's something like duck sauce. That's weak. Duck sauce is weak.
Damn, yeah.
Change
is too predictable, man. That was
y'all starting some shit today, man.
Come on, man. I like this Soy Lee. That shit, that roll. Soy Lee. What the panel got? What the audience got, man? We're gonna close this out.
That was the dude who said duck sauce. What do you think about that?
So
that's too obvious though, man. That's like burrito Benitez or some shit.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't want something that comes right to the mind. It gotta hit you and it gotta disturb you in your mind a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Bottom Shelf Brad, it rubs you a certain way. Dirty Sanchez, that rubs you a certain way.
Yeah, it does. That Dirty Sanchez. That was me. That called me. I was in tears laughing. I had to mute because
that's not a bad one. Tacky Chan, that's a funny one, but that still don't hit me. I like Tacky Chan, but that one is more comedic. You know what I'm saying? It gotta hit you on all levels. Lil Wayne. That one it still don't. Bruce
Wait, he say Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne.
No. Hey man, Lo Mein.
Lo Mein.
Yeah, Lo Mein.
I don't like Lo Mein because I like Lo Mein. Lo Mein like the noodles.
Yeah, say here. Yeah.
I'm not calling these punks Lo Mein because I like Lo Mein. I ain't calling them nothing.
I like Lil Wayne. I like Lil Wayne.
That's why I like the Soy Lee, because soy is bad for you as a man.
True. I like that.
Lowers your testosterone levels, and we know about the Lee. That's why I like Soy Lee so much, man. Because soy is bad for you, especially if you're a man.
Yeah.
So, audience, what do you guys think about Soy Lee? Is Soy Lee the winner?
Yeah, so far.
We got to get one more before we close out, and that's going to be the Middle Eastern type dudes, because we saw the Pittsburgh beatdown. So we got to come up with a name.
I have not seen that video. I've just heard about it. I have not.
Oh, you got to check it out. Just Google Pittsburgh gas station fight, and it'll come up.
But wasn't those? That was wasn't that the Arabic? What they call them? The Iraq. I'm not trying to just
Yeah, I think that was. At least from what I've heard, I think that was some Arabs or something.
Man, I'm going with Soy Lee. So
but that looked like a white guy who pushed some girl to the gas pump though. I laugh. Did anybody laugh when y'all heard when she hit that thing and went boom? And I just stopped laughing.
Oh yeah, man. I had to pause the video. To make sure I saved that moment.
I replayed it.
No, you know what was funny? You know what was funny about that video? The women walked into the gas station as artificial men, and they left as the virtue of womanhood. They became the poster child of womanhood during the ass whooping. So they walked in on pants sagging. I got a artificial dick, all that. Boy, when them Arabs came out with them punches, all of a sudden, like, you ain't not a woman. That's a female. You know?
I don't know what black women think they're gonna get with Arab men, dude.
I don't know, bro.
If you go to these,
they're gonna get the swift hand.
Those Arab men ain't got no problem putting the pimp hand down on their own. What black women think they're gonna do with them? I've lived in these countries, man. I'm telling you, these men ain't got no problem putting that pimp hand down on these broads.
Hey, fellas, well, another lesson they learned too, like, you know, usually women always say they got to carry their mace. You can't use mace with these other nationalities, because when they were spraying,
no.
They still was giving them the business. They was giving. It seemed like it made them even more madder. Like it pumped them up even more. The more
I want, before I close it, I want to get this last nickname, and it's for the Arab, Middle Eastern guys that these women are also. I don't know. They saying that they on the dock too, so we got to get
not on the dock, man.
Not the rape. Oh no,
not the Arabs. Not the Arabs getting Arab money. What?
Not the Arabs, man.
They saying that they're the most desired woman, and the Arabs is on the docket too, man.
Hell no, man.
Hey,
I remember the very first panel I came on, brother. I talked about going to Morocco. Do you know what Arab men go to? That's where they go. When they looking for women, that's where they go. They go to Morocco.
Tell us about that before we get off here tonight, man.
Yeah, Arab men aren't going to no damn black women looking for wives and shit. When they looking for wives, they going to places like Morocco. Why? Because you got a lot of young, very pretty women in that country. And that because a significant number of that population is extremely poor, they can go there and drop 20, 30 G's. Many of these guys are coming from places like Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and they're going there and they finding women to marry. When I was there with a bunch of folks, a bunch of English folks, and you had these English dudes dropping 40, 50 grand in the pockets of these families and marrying these 40-year-old men marrying 20-year-old college students in Morocco.
I'm posting a link in the chat for you, Dr. Phoenix, so you can check out that Pittsburgh situation for yourself. It's just every one of these situations just gets sadder and sadder, man. It's always these black
for them.
But luckily, there ain't no black men usually around. It's usually just them and their white god, their Asian god, and their Arab god. So that's the good thing about it. There's no black men in the vicinity.
But this is how often black men are blamed for why you guys let all these men from these communities come in, our different communities come into the black neighborhoods and set up shop. No, the reason they keep going is because of these black females, these Arab dudes that own these stores in these black neighborhoods. They're fucking these girls.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are. Facts.
They are sleeping.
I know this. This is a fact.
Well, I can tell you from personal experience. I got a girlfriend now. She talks about this shit in her when she was growing up, and she grew up in Milwaukee, and she'll tell you.
Not to cut you off, Dr. Phoenix, but here in Chicago, it's a lot of them stores. A lot of them Arab, they're fucking these women. You can tell how they talk to them.
Yeah,
they're fucking them.
They got more claim to these women than we do.
Facts.
Well, I think we're gonna have to on another stream one day go back to the Arab nickname, because I think I'm seeing that brothers is having a struggle with that one. Brothers is really struggling with something creative for that one. We got Dirty Sanchez, BottomShelf Brad, and Soy Lee, but brothers is really struggling with this one, man.
Oh man,
I'm not seeing nothing creative so far, man. Brothers is really struggling on this one, bro. I ain't seen nothing.
They trying though, King Sigma. They try. I see the names. They try.
Sharia Paul, Tally Brad. It ain't nothing's clicking.
But I'm laughing. I'm enjoying
it. What I liked about that situation, it was like,
you know how when one of my own, bro. It may not be that good, but I came up with one. Hobo Hassan.
Hobo.
What y'all think about Hobo Hassan versus what we hear so far? I'm putting Hobo Hassan out there.
Hobo
Hassan.
I mean, they don't have that shock value.
Come on, man. Y'all gotta throw in the pot, man. Y'all gotta put something in the pot, man. Brothers is struggling on this one, man.
Hey, Dr. Phoenix, real quick, Dr. Phoenix.
What's going on, brother?
What you're gonna see when you look at that video, it's kind of like when the NFL players come out of the huddle, how they line up. Like everybody was on the same plan, beat this bitch's ass. There was no question that everybody looked around and was like, we kicking ass from this point forward. There was no hesitation. 0% hesitation.
MOT, why you had to put that type of...
Well, right. Even a few years ago, when you saw those, when you had that whole summer, about 2-3 years ago, where you just saw nothing but every week you saw multiple videos of Asian men beating the brakes off of black females.
I like that one, Corner Store Hassan. That's not bad. That's not bad.
What is that?
Corner Store Hassan's not bad, but it don't ring like the other ones. But it's not bad. But it just don't ring like the other ones, man. We're gonna have to come back to that one at a later date, man. Maybe in the future we'll dig more into that Pittsburgh fight on a panel, and on that day we'll come out with one for them. But
you could call him like the Iron Sheik from like the wrestling shit, but I don't know.
Nah, man, that's too associated with Iron Sheik.
No, what that Pittsburgh fight remind me of, like. You listening to a football game, you don't see the visual, but you listening to like the action, like they're getting hit like back in the days, like when they play real football. That's what you gonna get from that.
The link is in the
private. Motherfuckers came out the huddle with the audible in mind. We ain't talking to nobody.
Yeah, they
kicking ass.
They said if you will act like a man, we're gonna treat you like a man. It's very embarrassing, but I'm gonna go ahead and do the last round. I want you guys to go back to the early part. Your final statements on learning about Jason Pope and spreading HIV to possibly 3,000 plus people in a small South Carolina city, and just your thoughts on that and how you took that information and what it means to you and your understanding of this relationship between the white male worshiper and the white incel. Bottom shelf Brad guy.
Start with
I'll go to AJ, then Dr. Phoenix, and I'll say MOT for last because I wanted to say something to him about a couple of his videos that he's been posting. So in that order, AJ, Dr. Phoenix, and then MOT get the last round.
First, let me say this once again, man. I'm glad to finally come on your channel, King Sigma. Thank you for having me again.
I appreciate it, bro.
Mad props to Dr. Phoenix, MOT. I don't know if Dr. Phoenix have a channel, but I know I rock with my man MOT, so y'all subscribe to their channels. Don't worry about me. I'm a loner. But me, I don't want to basically speak into with the bottom shelf Brad and with the situation with black women and basically who they choosing. I'm want to speak on a positive note, is that we just need to start as black men being happy. That's the way I want to go. If you have to get your passport, whatever you need to do what you have to do. But I want to see more black men being happy. I don't give a fuck about these black women no more. I don't give a fuck what they choose, what they decide to do. I don't give a fuck about select, non-select, none of that goofy shit. Black men, listen to me. Seriously. Be happy. Find your fucking niche and be happy, and that's what I want, so we can have more of these black boys getting raised by these black bitches to be happy. And that's basically all I wanted to say, man. Once again, Sigma, thank you, bro. Thank you for having me on, man, and peace to the other brothers on the panel and the brothers in the chat, man.
Thanks for having thanks for taking time out of your day to come vibe with us and to talk about this conversation. Really appreciate it. AJC and Red, you guys, AJ put your channel link in the chat, and y'all go check out his content. He's more into like the shock jock conversation, Howard Stern type stuff. So, if you like that kind of thing, go to AJ. But appreciate you coming on, bro.
Hey, appreciate you, King Sigma. Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. Next time. You have Dr. Phoenix. Your closing.
Yeah, no, I don't have a YouTube channel, obviously. I don't intend to ever have one. That's not really my lane. I leave that to you brothers. I just come on and contribute, when I can. And a special thanks to you, King Sigma, for again having me on, allowing me to share what I know. And special thanks to the brother MOT for just, really being honest about what's happening out here with brothers. You've been on a tear this past week, King Sigma, talking about these issues.
I don't even know if it's that I've been on a tear or if the news is just bringing forward information that they would have never done in the past. I don't know which one is which, because I
think it's both.
Yep. I definitely never thought of these things before, but when I'm looking on my timeline on social media, I'm more and more seeing these kind of stories, and I just noticed that you'll see it for 1 second and then it's gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'll disappear from the news and you don't hear nothing else about it. So I just think it's important that we have our own digital archives and our own discussions from the black man's point of view that everyone can sift through and say, well, this is what your everyday black man across America thinks. And I think that's going to be more and more important in this election year.
Well, and that was what was so important about that stream you did earlier in the week, which was that you confirm what brothers have already known and will have most likely already experienced in their daily lives. But, this, what happened with this guy, DJ Kid, we've heard stories about this before. We've heard stories like this. I certainly know stories like this from my days in the military. And what's important is that this isn't about the black women or the bottom shelf brads that they, procreate with or do whatever with. This is about brothers. How are we going to respond to this?
Yep, exactly. And the brother, Dr. Phoenix, y'all just remember, man, he's one of the few black men that's in medical school in 2019. And definitely I'm going to bring him back on to talk more about that, because I don't think that I drilled that into the brother's head enough that it's becoming so rare for a black American male to get admitted to American grad schools, pharmaceutical, medical, law, even MBA programs. It's just becoming more and more rare. And you guys need to be aware of that, how the resources that at one time in history were going to you for a very brief time, but now everything that your grandfathers fought for is being given to everybody but you as an American black man. And we're going to dig into that more in the future.
Yeah. And, for me, I'm a veteran, but I go every year. I have a health and wellness appointment that I do with my primary care physician. And I get tested every single year for HIV.
Good.
And I strongly recommend brothers make this a part of your yearly operating procedure. Make this a part of who you are. Get tested, because again, we've been hearing these stories for decades. Oh, it's the brothers in jail. They're coming out here infecting these women. Look, this could not possibly have these issues about STIs and the rampant STIs within black society could not happen if we did not have a complicit group of people. It could not happen. You have complicity at all levels in black society as it relates to this. You have black women that are clearly sleeping with the bottom 20% of black men. They're clearly sleeping with these bottom shelf brads and whoever, and they're taking these diseases and they're sleeping with good, well-to-do brothers like ourselves, and they're spreading this among them. The story has always been that, oh, it's black men doing this to black women. No, it is the other way around. And the numbers support this. And so, as a closing thought to brothers, just make it part of your yearly procedure, man. Get tested. Do this. Especially my brothers in that southeast region of the U.S.
Oh, yeah.
Below D.C., the Carolinas, Georgia, Florida, Arkansas, Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi, get tested. I would go as far west as Texas, but if you're in any of those states, in that part of the region, get tested. I cannot stress enough, these are where we're seeing the highest clusters at. The areas of the lowest clusters is where I'm at and where King Sigma is at, believe it or not. And we already know what's going on with brothers up in the Midwest, and especially the upper Midwest.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of brothers are getting with non-black women, they're with white women, whatever, but yet they're not getting these STIs. What does that tell you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm glad you told them, because I know a lot of times I never hear brothers actually encouraging other black men to go and, get STD tested. get HIV tested, and we have to start having those conversations. I mean, on a regular basis, like we have to 100% take all the stigma and shame off of this stuff, man.
Yeah. That actually brings up something else I was meaning to say. Not only just get tested, if any of the brothers in the chat that have sons and your sons are teenagers, get them the HPV vaccine.
Yep. I got that vaccine like a year ago, and I actually was able to get my insurance to pay for it, even though they were trying to deny it.
They will pay for it. Your insurance will pay for it.
Yep. They have to pay for it.
Even if you have daughters, get them the HPV vaccine. Again, you know, there's that very well-known actor, Michael Douglas, who had throat cancer, and he got it because he had contracted HPV when he was a young man and he was out there doing his thing. He was exposed to it. It's so hard to tell now because of just how prolific HPV is out here, and it doesn't. And not that it causes not that it is active or anything like that, but it just can lead to potential issues later in your life.
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons. I think they said that was one of the reasons why so many American women are getting cervical cancer is based on being infected with HPV.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I mean, again, it is the #1 cause, and this is something you and I should, you know, talk about on another stream later. I mean, and this ties into this story about what I was about what you've been talking about today, but also what I talked about, you know, with just sort of the hysterectomies, uterine fibroids, and again, why is this happening? You know, a huge part of the reason why you have rising infertility rates among Black women, despite the stereotypes of them being the most fertile Black women, being the most fertile group of women out here, is because it's not just because they're using, you know, all these toxic hair products. A lot of it is because many of them are going undiagnosed with STIs.
A lot of them don't want to know, to be honest with you. A lot of women
that is really true.
Like they don't even want to know. And you have to tell them that you're going to wear a condom most of the time. These women, they just don't care. Think about the fact you had 13-year-old girls at that young age having sex with this white man with HIV unprotected, man. It's just ridiculous, dude.
Even the numbers from the CDC even demonstrate that Black women use condoms the least of any group of women out here. As much as we talk about it. I mean, it was Black women, then I think it was Latino women, and then believe it or not, it's Black men who are the most cautious, who are the most prolific users of condoms.
Black men, CDC has confirmed that Black men are the biggest users of condoms, man. But you got anything else that you want to add before you go, Dr. Phoenix?
No, I'll just leave it at that. You know, again, thank you for having me on, brother. Always a pleasure. You know, always proud to be able to share what I know with yourself, MOT, the brothers in the chat. And again, you know, I'll just leave these parting words. Every brother out here needs to commit to getting yourself tested yearly. Okay? Just get tested yearly. I'll leave it at that. Thank you again, brother.
Appreciate that, Dr. Phoenix. Good luck with your finals and the rest of your semester. And we'll definitely plan something when you got some free time for another health topic. So you have a good week.
Thank you.
All right, later, man.
You got the mic, MOT.
All right. All right. Got a new slogan for all thinking Black men. Now, I'm not a Trump fan, but let's make it great without them. Let's make it great without them. That's the new slogan for the thinking Black man. Make it great without them. You have to be independently self-sufficient rather than being dependently sufficient. That's the big lie that's going on here, that having you be with all these non-select women, because we're not talking about 8s, 9s, and 10s or women who can actually be wife material. It's somehow going to engage your life. You have to understand that these older guys are coming back to you when you have the choice to leave this shit alone. That's why they're here. They're here to fuck your life up. They're here to make sure, in order to keep their relevance, they have to cannibalize your future. So that way the woman can be happy, and so that way they can be able to live with themselves. You have to understand what's at stake here. They do not care about the Black race. If they did, they would be all up Pookie and Ray Ray's asses about getting these women pregnant. But see, they didn't do that shit, right? So you have to make sure that you are not on Team 2053. By getting your shit together and fucking waiting this shit out and giving this shit a 2-generation break. The women who can obviously come along for the ride, they'll make themselves known. You know, they'll pop that smoke out in the field, and you know, you could go out there and deal with them. But other than that, your entrance to a relationship or dating ain't got shit to do with being no fucking single father. No, stop doing that shit. Stop rewarding bad behavior. And that's all I got, man. And they have to understand that the reason why they can't compete with what the fuck I say, because I'm already fucking there. I have seen thousands of men lose their life. I probably lost 6 businesses based off of dudes marrying the wrong girl. And all of a sudden, when they're divorced and they have to take their quote-unquote share of the company out of the company. I've been through that shit. So I know what I'm talking about. It's not that I'm hating on XYZ person. It's what the person is representing. What I'm talking about is ideas, not people. If you got some bullshit fucking ideas that ain't gonna do nothing but fuck up black men's lives, I'm be on your motherfucking ass. Because guess what? You're not owed no fucking hustle out here at the expense of black man's future. Fuck you. You don't belong here. That's all I got to say, man. Thanks so much for having me on, King.
Now, MOT, before you go, I know that you and Super Triz got a panel planned. When is that panel so that people can come check out? Because I know that's going to be a fire one, that you guys are going in hard on this select and non-select conversation.
Yeah, well, we got to be able to make sure that panel is probably going to be the one of the most damaging things that anybody has ever heard when it comes to their power. So I'm going to be sitting down and making sure I get this shit right. So that way, when I do come back for a live, I'm coming back with the B-52 Stratoforce fully fucking fueled. We're going to be air refueling, fucking dropping explosives for a while.
Oh, I look forward to this.
On these motherfuckers.
This is going
to That's all I got.
All right. Well, you know, that's the man of tomorrow. Go check out his channel. He's more of a content creator. He does a lot of different uploads. On his topic, he's into the business, anti-dating coach rhetoric, and currently he's really focused on this conversation about select and non-select, if it's a real thing or if it's not a real thing. So just go check out his channel. He does a lot of daily stuff. Like he's a content creator versus me doing live casts once a week or whatever. But thanks for that, MOT. Yeah, so I really appreciate everyone tuning in. This is a hard discussion to have. It's not a fun thing to, you know, have to talk about white men preying on American black girls, specifically in the case of Jason Roger Pope and some of these other pedophiles and white predators. But unfortunately, the other side has forced the conversation on free thinking brothers. It would be irresponsible of us to just totally ignore the younger of our racial lineage group. I don't care too much about the adults. They're making adult decisions, but it's wrong. And we should make sure that these bottom shelf brads that are preying on these little girls are punished to the full extent of the law, because like I said, the white male worshiper has put herself in a position where she can't speak on these abuses, just like the case with Zaria Burgess, because on one hand, she's worshiping the white man and she would rather avoid the shame and embarrassment than to get justice for their sons and daughters. And they'd rather even die, like the case of Dominique Clayton. They'd rather die trying to climb Swirl Mountain and be another skeleton in the graveyard of Swirl Mountain. So again, you know, thank you to the brothers that contributed tonight. I really appreciate it. This is something that I do on a casual basis, but I hope that I'm adding something constructive to the conversation. And if I've added anything constructive to the conversation for free thinking brothers out there, then I feel like I've accomplished something today. So, you know, thank you to my guests today. We had AJC in red, Hurricane Edward Anderson, Man of Tomorrow, Dr. Phoenix, and Rollo. The Rollo show tried to get on as well, but I believe that he had some Wi-Fi connection issues, but definitely going to get him from the Passport Bros on here in the near future. Otherwise, you know, you all have like a safe and fun weekend. and I will talk to you next time, and we'll see what the subject is of the 9 human areas of activity. And with that, peace. I'm out.